Hello and welcome to Brands Hatch for the penultimate round of the British GT season. We've had a fantastic season so far and it could all be tied up today for both GT3 and GT4. And the man standing next to me who's going to talk us through all the action, hopefully tie up the action throughout the course of the day is you, David Addison. It is very, very tight, particularly in GT4.
Yeah, and that's perhaps of the two classes the most likely to be sewn up today. Jack Brown could make it back-to-back GT4 titles. No one's ever done that before. Only two teams have won races in GT4. It's been Optimum with the McLaren, it's been Century with the BMW. The BMW team effectively has got to try and win, and the McLaren be outside of that top three to stand any chance of taking it to Donington. The likelihood is it is going to be wrapped up today. In GT3, it's a bit tougher. Charles Dawson and Jewiss need to win with the Maxi Götz Kevin Say Mercedes 8th or lower, and the Johnny Adam Giacomo Petroballi Aston 7th or lower at the same time. So that's probably the outside one. And also bear in mind they've got to win, and yet the Mercedes AMG has never won around here in the past. So we could make history, or we could, and this is what we want, nudge it towards the Donington decider.
Mercedes came close to winning here a few years ago, but they had a fuel pump issue. That was the ABBA car, which isn't here this weekend. So there is form that Mercedes could do well, but you suspect that maybe GT3 will be drawn out to, hopefully, the Donington decider.
Well, yeah, and I think part of that is because you've got a really interesting front of the grid with Kevin Say, Maxi Götz on pole. Now, that was the car that was very, very hard to beat in qualifying. It was interesting the way that team operated, because most teams were going out and doing their push laps early, whereas that Mercedes came on strong. So it makes you think they've kind of engineered that maybe for the long haul for the race. But because they won the last race at Snetterton, they have the maximum compensation time in the pits. And because we're a 2-hour race, not a 1-hour race, it's even longer. So they've got to serve an extra 20 seconds in the pit lane. The car alongside, the Aston of Johnny Adam and Giacomo Petroballi, doesn't have to worry particularly about extra time served in the pits. So without a safety car in stint 2, that perhaps is in the box seat.
If you haven't gone cross-eyed by now, you will do very, very soon. David, thank you very much indeed. A hubbub of activity behind us. These cars are about to make their way onto the grid, as do I, and you have to head off to commentary. So while that happens, here's what happened with the season so far to get us to this point here at Brands Hatch.
The British GT Championship began at Donington back in April, and the 2-hour race turned out to be a battle between the two Seas Motorsport Mercedes and Barwell Motorsports Lamborghini. And a safety car was triggered after Giacomo Petroballi's Aston Martin got involved with one of the Mahiki Racing Lotuses. After the safety car, the Nick Jones-Sven Muller Porsche was in big strife, as Jewiss and Charles Dawson fended off a charging Lamborghini of Sandy Mitchell and Alex Martin to take the win. In GT4, it was honours for Mark Warren and Jack Brown, their McLaren coming home victorious ahead of the BMW of Ravi Rami and Charlie Robertson. The Silverstone 500 was next, with a 3-hour race and strategy to be played with. Morgan Tilbrook's McLaren led away and was able to hang on to the early advantage. But it was one of the best GT3 entries of the season, and a really hard battle ensued. Poor old Mahiki was in the walls once again, having shown great speed, but a 3-wheeled Lotus was going nowhere. It was returning 2023 champions Darren Lung and Dan Harper who came and conquered. Jewiss and Charles Dawson came home second, but took maximum points, while Ravi Rami and Charlie Robertson were victorious in GT4. The first double-header of the season was at Alton Park at the end of May. Rob Collard and Giacomo Petroballi battled to the first corner in race 1, others ploughing off wide, while Ravi Rami had this big accident at Island Bend that put the BMW out for the day. After the pit stops, Hugo Cook managed to hang on to take a maiden British GT Championship win in the Lamborghini shared with Rob Collard, Kevin Say and Maxi Götz taking second, while Jack Brown and Mark Warren won again in GT4. Race 2 was held on a wet road and a tyre gamble was key. Some went for slicks, more rain fell, and Jewiss was one of many off the road. As the track surface changed, tyre compounds, tyre choice was absolutely crucial. Nick Jones, another driver in strife, running wide at Island Bend, but just about getting away with it, as the Mercedes AMG of Kevin Say and Maxi Götz hung on to take a dominant race win. Kevin Say's second success at Alton Park, while in GT4, it was Jack Brown and Mark Warren victorious yet again. The overseas round at Spa-Francorchamps was always eagerly anticipated, and it was Giacomo Petroballi who grabbed the lead at La Source on the opening lap, and he and Johnny Adam managed to come through to score victory. For Johnny, a record 20th win in the championship, while Ravi Rami and Charlie Robertson bounced back from Alton Park disappointments to win in GT4. Snetterton last time out was the final double-header weekend. 2 1-hour races and therefore 2 point-scoring opportunities. It went awry for Andrew Howard in race 1 when he went off the road, and then the Rob Pollard Hugo Cook Lamborghini went agricultural as well. A second victory of the season though for Charles Dawson and Kia Jewiss, adding to a maximum score at Silverstone where they took honours as the best place registered scorers. In GT4, it was another win for Jack Brown and Mark Warren, a very dominant display. Race 2 was headed away by Maxi Goetz in the second of the 2Cs Mercedes AMGs as Martin Plowman got roughed up by Marcus Klassen. Maxi Goetz handed over to Kevin Say. They came through victorious. While in GT4, it was honours to the BMW of Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson to keep alive their championship hopes.
And that's how we got to this point in the sunshine here at Brands Hatch. Joe Osborne's going to be talking through the action with David Osborne. Now, I was talking to Giacomo Petrobelli over my shoulder a little bit earlier on, and he was saying he's a bit nervous about the start and getting it right. How do you do that here at Brands Hatch?
It's difficult. It's a short run to turn 1, but crucial. And on the outside, he'll be worried about the inside road, taking his space and spinning them round. And that is exactly what happened to our pole sitter, Kevin Say, last year. So we have to be super careful of that at the start.
It's exactly what happened to Kevin Say, and it's Kevin Say alongside him this time, so he should be mindful of what goes on the outside of turn 1.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how these amateur drivers have been G'd up by their pros.
G'd up indeed. As you're G'd up to go and talk to drivers, I'll let you disappear off as Joe does that. Let's have a little talk about these drivers around us. Mention Giacomo Petrobelli just to your right-hand side as you're looking just there. He starts on the outside of turn 1, and he's alongside Johnny Adam, who's there with Joe right now, and they were at the start of the season looking at this as a title push, and they're only 9 points off of that one. So let's hear the thoughts, shall we, of Johnny Adam, who's down there with Joe right now.
Johnny, so good place to start, second place outside at turn 1, sometimes difficult. Where's Giacomo in his prep? What have you told him to expect? What's the plan?
Go for it, basically. Yeah, I mean, they've swept turn 1 and turn 2, but at the same time, we have to be a bit cautious. You know, there's obviously quite a few cars that are quite in close contention in terms of lap time, so it's a long race. We've got no pit stop time today, so we're in a good place for that. But yeah, we'll see. Our pace has been good all weekend. Giacomo's not been here for 12 years, so he's upped the pace every session and done a good qualifying lap. So we're happy. We've got a good balance on the car. We tried a few things yesterday and they seemed to work. So yeah, we're quite confident.
Nice, I like it, I believe him. Let's leave Johnny. That's 50% of the driver lineup in this Aston Martin. You can see Giacomo Petrobelli here, just getting a bit of water, going to rudely interrupt Giacomo. How are you feeling? We've spoken to Johnny about the plan for the start. How do you envisage it going into turn number 1?
Well, we'll try and keep it clean. Obviously, it's in our interest to just make sure we all get out. We've got, he's got a 20-second penalty at the pit stop, we don't. So if there's a chance to overtake, of course, we'll go for it. But I'm conscious I'm on the outside. Alex is normally quite aggressive at the start, so we'll just make sure we manage the position.
Okay, sounds good. It's kind of aggressive, but maybe with a pensive regard. So it's very hard to go all the way around the outside at turn 1 there because it is a longer distance. And then turn 2, Druids, is also around the outside. Someone that's good at going around the outside, Rob Pollard, reigning champion. We're rarely seeing you off the front row here at Brands Hatch. How does it feel to be all the way back here, row 2?
Oh. Row 2 is still a great place to start, and you know, Hugo, my teammate, yesterday done a fantastic job. I was just a little bit off it yesterday in qualifying, but warm up this morning I felt really good. The Lambo is absolutely handling beautiful, so I think over the course of the race we'll be in a good position.
Okay, and what's the target by the end of your stint? Where do you want to hand it over to Hugo Cook?
The target is always to be in the lead, so I think it's going to be quite interesting. First lap will be quite punchy. I'd like to try and think we can do a bit of a touring car start, maybe go around the outside of a couple of people, so keep the cameras on and see what happens.
There we go, we heard it first. I think this car's actually doing a slight split strategy. Rob won't agree with me, but I think they're putting left-hand side tyres on in stint 1 and 2. Not all 4 tyres, he did just nod his head, so I got something right there. So expect 2 tyres to be changed on that car because there's so many right-handers. It's so important for the driver to have that loaded side. Right. Charles Dawson, championship leader, further back than we've ever seen this season, Charles, sorry. How's it feeling all the way back here in 6th?
Look, we've got to look forward. Qualifying's done, so yeah, we didn't get the maximum. I don't think either of us got the maximum out of ourselves or the car. So we just got to look forward. There's plenty of time, people with time penalties ahead of us. It's hotter than expected. The Merc comes good second half of the race, so it's hard to pass here, we know that. But opportunities will come, like in Spa, and we just got to get our head down And yeah, I think if we can get up to the podium, I think that'll be a solid result, and then it's all to play for in Donington still.
Okay, and we saw the Mercedes yesterday looking tricky, especially turn 7 for yourself and then turn 8 as well. Is that the hardest corner for you, or where do you not like this Mercedes right now, balance-wise?
Yeah, we brought the aero forward. We just didn't seem to have the front end and the back end of the circuit. Yeah, 7 and 8. 7 and 8 were the trickiest, where I went off in 7 and Kian on 8. Honestly, mine was just trying to be a bit too much of used tyres. I would have liked a bit more of a gap. So but yeah, we made a few changes overnight. Hopefully that will help today. And yeah, we've just got to crack on and see what we can do.
Awesome. Right, no more negative thoughts. Now, that's GT3. Let's go back to GT4, where Bryn is.
Thanks very much there, Joe. Yeah, I've wandered all the way down here to GT4 to the pole sitter. We didn't actually get to speak to you in the pole position yesterday, but your time, combined time of 1.4 seconds up the road from the car next door, that's a whopper.
You definitely did speak to me yesterday, but nice to know you forgot. But no, yeah.
Not at the end we didn't. I got you on your session.
You got me in my session. But no, yeah, it was a solid time. Hooked up, it was a little bit leery, definitely on the edge. But no, we've had the pace, and it would just be interesting to see now if we've got that race pace to really sort of pull a lead. And I think for sure this is our best shot with the Pro-Am BMW having a compensation time. So yeah, ideally we just want to have a clean start, get out there and pull some time.
And what you mean by that is behind you, Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson, they've got a 20-second pit stop compensation. You've got 24 seconds in yours because of being a silver pairing, so you've got to make up 4 seconds.
We've got to make up 4 seconds on them, but then of course Mark Warren, they haven't got it, so we've got to pull 24 seconds on them, so that's going to be tough.
Best of luck, best of luck. Let's go for a little wander then, shall we, a bit further down the pit lane. If you swing to the right there, you'll see Luca Hopkinson and Harry George, sorry, they're starting in P2. Very, very lively. P3 are in the championship at the moment. If we had a little bit further on here, when we talk championship protagonists, well, you cannot ignore these two, Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson. And you've got this 20-second pit stop compensation, so it's all about banking a decent position, especially ahead of those guys to your left.
Yeah, it is. So I'm quite relaxed, really. We know we got some good pace yesterday. McLaren have been given a little bit of a help with the BOP change overnight, so expect them to be strong. We've just got to try and take it to Donington. 20 seconds at the stop. Obviously, it doesn't look good in our favour, but all you need is a safety car and something untoward to happen, which, with the amount of gravel and jeopardy around Brands GP, isn't unexpected. So it's a long race. Rav's feeling cool. He's staying in there with the aircon on. So yeah, let's see if we pop out.
It's cooler than us, that's for sure. It was always back to Alton Park for you guys this season, wasn't it? How much of a hit has that been for you, and how have you managed to recover?
Yeah, I mean, coming out of Alton, it was like 55-point deficit or something to the 90 car. We've over halved that since. And obviously we look at it and go, oh, well, if that hadn't happened, we'd be there. But it's all learning, especially for Ravi. I mean, Alton's one of the toughest tracks to get lapped by GT3 traffic at, and he found out the hard way. So, yeah, tough lesson. We'd like to think we would be right on the heels, if not ahead of the 90 McLaren, if it wasn't for that. But, yeah, we just want to take it to Donington.
Good luck, good luck. We'll head a little bit further off here to the right then to speak to Jack Brown, who's outside the car. Inside the car is Mark Warren. 23.5 points is their advantage in this championship. They sit in P1 at the moment, and Jack Brown is the reigning champion. And history, as you know, could be made today if you win the title here, the first two-time GT4 champion.
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice, but anything can happen today. So we're just going to do what we usually do, keep it clean, and I think we'll be able to drag a result out of it today. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Your results have been remarkable this season, haven't they? 4 victories along the way over the course of the season. It's only you and the BMW alongside that have taken victories.
Yeah, no, that is true. Yeah, slightly feel sorry for everybody else, but it is what it is, and yeah, hopefully we can get another win today. So. With
your experience from last year, I mean, you won here in the Battle of Brands to win the championship. Of course, it's a Donington decider this season. How are you taking that experience, and how is that helping you keep cool and keep Mark cool as well?
I think, you know, they're different years, and each year has had its different difficulties. Certainly this year has been very tricky for us. You know, we find ourselves in a really good position, and we, as I say, Mark and I work really well together, and we're just going to keep on doing what we usually do. So.
Very best of luck. There you go. We are pretty much ready then here on the grid to disappear off and allow these cars to get all noisy and get out on track and race in anger. So for now, here from the grid and the pit lane, it's back to you, David Addison.
Bryn, thanks very much. The grid then is being cleared, and we get ready then for the penultimate round of the British GT Championship. The grid looking slightly different this week, in as much as we are without senior pit lane official Jules Battendale. For the first time in about 13 years, Jules has decided that rather than tramp up and down the pit lane, he can sit in the garden with a beer or something. We hope to see you back in action, Jules, at Donington. From all your friends in the British GT paddock, we hope to see you back very soon. Best wishes to you. Right, the grid is formed. Joe has legged it from the grid back upstairs. Interesting to hear from the drivers. Now, the story, even before the race is underway, is surrounding number 7 Aston Martin. The team manager summoned to the stewards. The grid procedure was under investigation. We understand that was for putting a fan on the front of the car just to keep it cool on the grid, and that I don't think you're allowed to do. We will have a look at that in due course. We'll come back to the story. Let's just do the grid, because in terms of the class pole positions, in GT4 Pro-Am, Ravi Ramyi, Charlie Robertson took the pole position there. In GT4 outright and silver, it was Josh Miller for the 3rd time this year, Jack Mitchell for the 4th. Here you're amalgamating the times of the 2 drivers. Tom Wood and Andrew Howard, pole position in GT3 Silver Am, and Pro-Am in GT3, a 3rd pole of the season for Maxi Gertz and a 1st of the year on his time for Kevin Say. As I say, sometimes it's a one driver, one session, and it's that time for the grid. Here you're amalgamating the times. There is the grid then. We're ready to go. It'll be a rolling start, of course, so at the end of the formation lap, the cars don't stop on the grid. They go into the race itself. But straight away, Blackthorn, Joe Osborne, with that question mark over the number 7 Aston Martin. If the team manager is up with the stewards already, things look bleak.
Yeah, and it's specifically written in the rules, no fans may be used on the car at any point. And Rob Collard, slow to get away. All okay, he's moving now, didn't go to the last place on the grid, so he'll get back in front and be happy. But yeah, I suspect that is pretty much a nailed-on drive-through penalty for the 7 Aston Martin. Drive-through penalty here is 24.9 seconds. They will get 3 laps to serve it if it's given to them on the first lap, and that's what they'll need.
While the pack is tightly bunched, this is how the grid is going to form. The driver you're looking at is the start driver, so it is Kevin Say on pole position with Giacomo Petrobelli in the Aston Martin we're talking about, number 7 alongside. Alex Martin will start 3rd, his teammate at Barwell, Rob Collard, in the sister car, starting 4th. 5th on the grid is going to be Morgan Tilbrook. 6th on the grid, Charles Dawson, ahead of Andrew Howard on row 4, and then Simon Orange next up. It is Mark Smith starting on the 5th row. Nick Jones in the sole Porsche is alongside him. Newcomer John Kearney in the Optimum Motorsport Green McLaren is next with Chun Chung Ip, Johnny Ip alongside. Then you've got Jack Mitchell starting on pole position within GT4, yet to win this year. The same is true of Luca Hopkinson, who's alongside. They've had a 2nd place though this year. You've got Ravi Ramyi next, 3 wins in GT4. Championship leader Mark Warren, 4 times a winner, is next, ahead of Chris Sulkeld, who's had a couple of 3rd places. Ian Duggan in his Ginetta is ahead of John Curry, and then Luke Garlick, who had the dramas yesterday. Bolt came out of the car, caused a spin, tyre off the rim, end of qualifying, starts at the back. So that's a car to watch. This also is going to be a car to watch. This is Rob Collard, who, as he was saying to Joe on the grid, needs a touring car start. Well, we know he can overtake around the outside. He did it in touring cars with regularity. He does it in GT racing as well when the need is such. The crowd then in the sunshine, in the very warm conditions here, looking forward to going racing. And so too is Charles Dawson, who's just got to keep out of trouble and bank points.
Yeah, championship leaders, always different mentality. But if you go too negative, i.e. more like to get hit from behind, and you increase the risk there. You can see the car in front, Morgan Tilbrook, the Optimum McLaren. He's got nothing to lose, he told me before the race. It's win or bin, and that's the last thing you want to hear. And here is Morgan Tilbrook. He is seriously pumped up for this. You can see still working the tyres, rear left on the dash slightly low. So keep an eye out for cars sliding around on this opening lap.
You heard drivers talking on the grid about extra compensation time in the pits. We'll come to that during the course of the race, but the car on pole position, winner last time out, has to have a 20-second longer pit stop than those that weren't in the top 3. The safety car peels in. Lorna Vickers, or Lorna Daly as she now is, having recently married Peter Daly, the championship race director. Congratulations both. The safety car peels into the pit lane, and it is going to be Kevin Say versus Giacomo Petrobelli then to get the penultimate round of the British GT Championship underway, down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Petrobelli makes a good start on the outside. Rob Collard trying to shove him round the corner. He's right up behind, round the outside of the Mercedes, tries to go Petrobelli. He's done it, I think, on the outside line as they head uphill for the first time. Yes, Aston Martin hits the front. Collard goes 2nd. Kevin Say a cautious start. He's down to 3rd place as they go down towards Graham Hill Bend. But the good news is everybody through the first couple of corners safely, although that said, there's one on the grass. coming out of Druids, back onto the tarmac, hopefully. I think we've had a spin, in fact, coming out of Druids. One car off the road.
Yeah, Optimum McLaren 90. Looks like it's hit the wall. It's taken the barrier out. How much damage? It's probably on the other side of the car. Another cautious start was Martin, the Lamborghini. He got jumped originally by Tilbrook, who's now behind. But look at Dawson, now over the back of his teammate. These are 1 and 2 in the championship, but in the other order. As you see a move from Smith down the inside of Howard, is there going to be contact? Fair driving by both.
Good effort by Mark Smith, didn't come to do anything right. The McLaren, in the meantime, number 90, is still stranded on the side of the circuit coming out of Druids. So the GT4 champions-elect, effectively, are not moving. That suggests we're going to end up with a safety car. Peter Daly, the race director, will be keeping an eye on all of these pictures. He'll be keeping an eye on what's going on. He'll give them time to try to fire up the engine and get going. If the car can't move, we're going to have to scramble a safety car. It is on standby, I think, as the field comes down to the end of lap number 1 then. So it is Giacomo Petrovelli, despite this Damocletian investigation hanging over him, in the lead of the race as they come up towards the timing line. There, 84 Ginetta leading in GT4. Safety car is called then. Safety car is called. You can race until you get to the line, but the safety car will neutralise the race. And this is not great news for the people that need to try and build a gap, of course, with the longer compensation time in the pits. Petrovelli leads at the end of lap 1. We're still waiting for the stewards to deliberate and to adjudicate on that incident on the grid.
Yeah, this is bad for them, the safety car, if they do get a penalty, bunching everyone back up. It was everyone on the outside row, wasn't it? Everyone I spoke to, actually, Petrovelli, Collard and Dawson, went forward at the start, and it was the inside. Historically, so strong here at Brands, because the first 2 corners are right-handers. It always favours them, but Petrovelli, like Johnny Adams said he would, was going to be aggressive, and he sent it. And Kevin Sabe was the opposite. He was just too cautious, wasn't he? He was out lap 1, turn 1 last year. Was that playing on the back of his mind?
Now, straight away, even if that Optimum McLaren of Mark Warren gets going, they've gone a lap down. So getting to the end of the race would potentially get them some points in class, but the result there is going to be a bleak one unless we get another safety car period later on and they can benefit from what's called a wave by to put them back onto the same lap as the class leader. But right now, number 90 is 1 lap down and is not for moving. It's going to have a flatbed, and I think therefore it's out of the race. I can't actually see a way now that that car can fire up and rejoin.
No, I think there's going to be actually a lot of damage to the left-hand side of that car, and the suspension probably just tweaked out. And yeah, brutal after such a strong season thus far. What was the reason? The Optimum guys don't know yet. Jack Brown, the sister teammate to Warren in the background there, looking pretty bemused, but Mark Warren trudges away, and that is day done. The wheel arch liner being thrown away as well.
And if you look at the amount of damage to the tyre wall, you can see it was a big whack. This is the GT4 start then, so heading down towards paddock. The car we're looking for is the white and yellow McLaren on the outside of the second row. You can see it there going through the shot near the white and blue and green BMW. So Mark Warren at the wheel, heads up the hill. It all concertinas look as the GT4 traffic gets onto the back of GT3. Mark Warren on the outside. The BMW just slid slightly, tiny touch between the two, but that was enough to put the McLaren rather off the racetrack.
Yeah, interesting one. It's either front left suspension damage instantly, which has lost any steering ability for the Optimum McLaren, or does it whip the steering wheel out of his hands and he can't grab it in time to get back away? Because that would have been a pretty big hit by the time it got to the driver's hands, and it just has that innocuous off. I think it's the latter, because suddenly he gets back on a trajectory. Too late, barrier damage, and yeah, race done for the 90 car.
And that incident has been noted, and it is race run. It's going to have implications for the championship. It's certainly going to push that towards Donington. Opening lap, cold tyres. It was a fairly innocuous slide by Ravi Ramid. Yes, it's got a serious outcome, but if you were a steward, I mean, heaven forbid you ever were to become one, but I mean, where would you sit on that? Racing incident or malice?
I hope you've read my tea leaves in the future, but I think it's got to be a racing incident. If Rami Ramid can slide his car like that to hip and shoulder someone on the exit of turn 2 of a 2-hour race, then he's a far better driver than I've ever seen. And unfortunately, that's physics, and going around the outside comes with a risk. Sometimes it pays off. Look at the GT3 field, for example, but the outside physics will always mean cars go to the outside, and ultimately that's what's run the course for the 90 car. Interesting to see, has Ravi Ramid got any damage? I wouldn't suspect so. The only damage I would suspect really is a rear left puncher on that car, and at the moment looks okay.
So we're behind the safety car then, as you know, because of this incident coming out of Druids, which in new money is turn 2 on that opening lap of the race. Giacomo Petrovelli is the race leader, ahead of Rob Collard. Kevin Say's third. There, number 71 then is Ravi Ramid, who is currently third in GT4 and leading the Pro-Am class. doesn't look as though there's any damage on that car. So, as I say, it was a very small touch. It had serious consequences, yeah, for the McLaren. But the BMW, tough old car, has got away with it pretty much unscathed. And Ravi Ramyi may be completely unaware of all of this. When he watches it back, he might think, God, I didn't realise I was involved in that even. The touch was so small.
Yeah, when you have an incident like that as a driver and you do see it back, you feel guilty, and Ravi will feel that because he's such a nice guy out of the car. And yeah, he will feel bad that he has ended the race for their championship rivals. Yeah. He'll then wake up Monday morning and go, oh, championship, look nice. Yeah, suddenly the racing driver ego kicks back in.
Yeah, he's practicing his sad face for now, and then his excited face for Donington. Bryn in the pits confirms no damage on that BMW. Right, the McLaren is ready to be taken away, but the other element of all of this is going to be a lap or two just while that tyre barrier is put back in place. So safety car comes downhill. Pursued then by Giacomo Petrobelli. While all of this is going on, I'm keeping an eye to the message line on our timing display to see if anything has come from the stewards about number 7. The team manager had been summoned, so presumably the conversation is or has taken place, and the paperwork will go through the system. Right now, there is purely the safety car and the incident being noted to take up attention on the timing screen. There is 71 BMW through. GT4 being led by Jack Mitchell, the ever-rapid Jack Mitchell, who's been a mini racer, Ginetta champion, touring car racer, excelled in GT racing for McLaren out in Asia, in China particularly, for a good few seasons. And Giacomo Petrobelli then leading, having not raced here for 12 years. It's all come flooding back. The incident between Mark Warren and Ravi Ramyi, no further action.
Oh, I could be a race director, David. Why are you giving me that
Still
look?
Scared.
And so Petrobelli, this is what we're talking about on the grid then. So we're rolling into position. Look for a fan being placed anywhere on the front. You see the blowers, that red fan, the mechanic leaning down and blowing that in just to bring the engine temperature down. Normal in many championships, but like I said, it's stipulated in the regulation. No fans, no blowers, external or attached to the cars. So for me, that is a nailed on penalty. What's the penalty going to be? That's the hard bit. Drive-through feels a bit harsh, but I can't see them doing anything else.
Unless they do a time penalty on the pit stop. Now you can see the damage done to the McLaren and say, yeah, from the right-hand side, it didn't look too bad. From the left-hand side, that looks very sorry for itself indeed, doesn't it?
Yeah, and shows you these race cars can be fragile. Look at Martin in the middle. The blue and black Lamborghini goes nowhere. Tilbrook does well here. Tilbrook should be 4th by the end of this lap. Falls back down later on in the lap. Dawson does well. Kevin Say with no momentum. That allows Petrobelli to cover the inside, which then frees up Rod Collard to send it round the outside. Those 2 new left-hand side tyres working for him well there to get him up to 2nd place. Dawson relatively easy going. Tilbrook slow out of turn 2, and it was kicking off behind us. Petrobelli couldn't have had a better start. So here we are on board with Dawson. Watch this whole left-hand row go. Martin 10, 15 Ks slower. Now Dawson can get to the inside. We're 4th. We're watching where's it going to kick off. He wants to get to the inside now. He's got Tilbrook behind him, fighting with Martin as well. He's able to brake where he wants. Collard goes all the way around the outside. Great move there. Kevin Say can't squeeze him out because Rob is in front. Does Dawson have a think about down the inside? Kevin Say having to get on the brakes there to tuck in behind. And now Dawson will be trying to get a run. He'll be smiling underneath that visor, and then suddenly it all goes. Rob Collard just defending to the inside just to make sure a dive bomb of Kevin Say didn't happen there, and a really good start on board the 42.
Number 7 Aston Martin then leads on the road, but still with this investigation hanging over Giacomo Petrobelli. The tyres have been put pretty much back in place, so as soon as the race director Peter Daly is happy, he will announce that the safety car can peel back in and we can go racing once more. And number 90, now that you've seen all the damage, there is not a hope that that car is going to go back out. It's not going to be classified, so big points loss, and because this is a 2-hour race, of course, there are more points on offer, therefore there are more to lose, so it does have really serious consequences. The other thing we haven't yet touched on, and we ought to, is the pit windows for the different categories. In GT3, the stops have got to be made between 62 and 70 minutes. In GT4, it's between 58 and 70 minutes. The GT4 pit stops are a little bit longer, so you've got to factor all that in as well. As we've said, no further action taken against Ravi Ramyi after this contact, but let's have another look at it.
Yeah, they're running side by side from the start, aren't they, now all the way? So the next right-hander, the Druid's hairpin, is going to be where the contact is, and Warren decides, I'm going to try and go round the outside here. They're level at this point. Cold tyres for Ravi Ramri, slight bit of oversteer, bang, into the side of the 90 car, and I still think the most likely reason he's gone in the barrier is the steering wheel has been ripped out of his hands as the wheels have made contact. And you can see GT3 is running side by side, Martin going very deep, and then the contact is now, car goes off left. I can't see any obvious damage on the front right corner to make the car go off into the barrier.
And here it is from the high shot then, coming out of the corner. Tiny little tap and bang. And as the McLaren spears out of the tyre barrier, the damage is all done on the left-hand side. Tyres follow suit as well. Right, so we're back live. We're behind the safety car. We're coming to the end of the safety car period. We're still waiting for news on the outright race leader. This is how we now stand in GT4. Now, okay, this is how it is at the moment, and we're only 5 laps into the race, so things could change for better or for worse for Ravi Rammeed and Charlie Robertson. But right now, 1 point between the two heading into the final round at Donington. Sometimes you just can't make the script up, can you?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be better for them by the end of the race because they're a Pro-Am car versus the two silver GT4s in front, the other Optima McLaren and the Mahiki 84. Those two cars in front, all the silver cars in GT4, need to serve another 24 seconds in their pit stop. So if Ravi Rammeed can box within 24 seconds, he will take over the lead.
But he's got to serve 20, so it's going to be tight because they won at Snetterton in that last race in the season. They get the maximum, and on the 2-hour race, it is the 20 seconds. The safety car, as you see, is in this lap. The car's all bunching up down towards Sterling's. It's up to Giacomo Petrobelli now to control the pace. He can slow right down, let the safety car go, and then choose when to accelerate. You can't accelerate and then brake. Once you go, you've got to keep going. You can't go and slow. You've got to keep accelerating, which Giacomo Petrobelli does now, and he gets the jump on Rob Collard really nicely.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go too late. Rob was able just to guess when he was going because there was less time afforded to the start line, but Rob really caught napping there, potentially wrong gear. It was that bad. He will be fired up now, and as they cross the line, that gap's nearly a second. That is a very, very average restart from Rob Collard, something I've never said before.
No, it's very unlike Rob, so maybe you're right about the gear. In third place is Kevin Say, who's on his toes, and there Alex Martin has a look up the inside of 42 Mercedes. Charles Dawson in the Mercedes. Alex Martin, who will hand over not to Sandy Mitchell, his regular co-driver, but Patrick Cuyler, the flying fin. A drive-through penalty for number 7 Aston Martin. Giacomo Petrobelli gets a drive-through penalty for the grid procedure infringement we saw. So the leader has a drive-through, and he's going to take it within 3 passings of the timing line.
Yeah, and he's going to take it on that third one because he needs to get that gap as big as he can to the GT4 so he doesn't have to come through them. At the moment, he's got 9 seconds, so he needs to get another 16 seconds in the next 3 laps. That's right on the cusp of the difference between GT3 and GT4. 9 seconds a lap in clear air, so he could do that as we see his GT4 battle here. The 69 Mahiki Ginetta against the Century BMW. They're fighting hard. Garlic had a good qualifying yesterday, but his teammate Blake Anglis had a puncture, so that car has been working its way through. Brandon Templeton behind, and actually they're starting to get held up slightly by 88, the Ian Duggan Ginetta, the one with green highlights. This could be an inter-team battle brewing. No team orders in GT racing, each car to its own.
So the race leaders then wriggling their way up towards Sterling's. A big effort being made on the inside. Luke Garlick tries to squeeze up the inside, but he can't quite find a way past Ian Duggan. And Garlick pressed by Brandon Templeton as well, look, as they come now down towards the right-hander of Clark Curve.
I'm not liking the look of this. I give it a 50-50 chance of contact between teammates. Duggan there for a huge snap of oversteer. That's going to allow 2 cars to go underneath. It looked like the rear tyre's not quite up to temperature. The Ginetta had a huge amount of squat and suddenly sprung back up over that nasty bump on the exit of Clearways. And actually the Mahiki team will be breathing a sigh of relief there because that's allowed the move to be done relatively cleanly, and now Ian Duggan needs to steady that ship and just stay on the back of the 2 cars in front. It wasn't for a class position, so if he can stay with them and he can get dragged up to Ravi Rammeed in front, that will be important.
Right, now at the moment, Giacomo Petrobelli is only half a second up the road from Rob Collard, who did the fastest lap last time through, and Rob is really pushing. But then in third place, Kevin Zay has done the absolute best first sector. So Petrobelli's efforts to escape and try and build up any gap over GT3 is not really working at all. But he wants to try and clear all of that GT4 traffic for the other side of his drive-through. So that's at the moment the real question, is how far ahead he is. He is currently 14 seconds ahead of the GT4 leader, which is in 13th place, and that is the Ginetta 84 of Jack Mitchell. Let's go to the pits. Bryn has news about car 7.
Not huge news, Anders, I'm afraid, but what I can tell you is I spoke very briefly to Johnny Adam about that drive-through penalty, and he said, well, rules are rules, eh? And that was it. Very pragmatic, as you can imagine, as I believe into the pits Giacomo Petrobelli comes.
He does indeed. Yeah, Johnny's been around the block long enough to know that if you do something wrong, well, you've got to rebuild your race, take the penalty accordingly. And Giacomo Petrobelli then has this long, slow drive down the pit lane at 40 kilometres an hour, and he's going to drop behind the GT4 traffic as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to be a big fan of that penalty, are they? It certainly blows their chance of a race win today. Surprised they boxed so early. They could have done another 2 laps to serve that penalty, and this is why I'm surprised, because you're now in a GT4 battle, and suddenly you've got to fight past 3 GT4 cars to get back to the GT3 field. So I'm sure Blackthorn have got their reasons. I don't see it.
Well, they've got it done at any rate. Now they can concentrate on trying to rebuild the race. Now, Kevin Say, there in second place in the Mercedes, has just had his first track limit warning as well. We haven't yet worried about track limits too much, but we might have to over the course of 2 hours. As Rob Collard then leads the way. It was here last year that he and his son Ricky won the championship. Rob, remember, missed the first couple of races because he wasn't able to take part because of an operation. He's bounced back. He won at Alton Park. Still a very, very quick GT racer, and Kevin Say is finding out just how quick as he tries to narrow that margin. In third place then, it is Charles Dawson, the championship leader, but he's dropped quite a long way back already from the top 2.
Yeah, I was just looking at the times actually. He steadied the ship slightly on this lap, so let's see as they cross the line as that gap stop growing so quickly. But what a great lead battle here. We've got a championship protagonist in Kevin Say. We've got reigning champion Rob Collard. Kevin Say was quickest in his qualifying session yesterday. Of course, he was 3/10 quicker than anyone, 6/10 a lap quicker than the Lamborghini in front of him. So he'll be looking quite confident at that. And sure enough, Dawson on the last lap lost just over 1/10 of a second. So that car may be coming back to him in third place. And he's bringing Martin with him. Only half a second between the other Mercedes and Lamborghini at the front.
And there is 77 Morgan Tilbrook ahead of 97 Aston of Andrew Howard. Going through in 8th place, Nick Jones. There's number 3 newcomer to the championship, John Kearney, in the green Optimum McLaren. And that car is currently in 10th place, having got up past 67, the Simon Orange McLaren. So John Kearney adapting nicely to GT3 machinery. This is how he got the place a lap ago at Surtees. Gap on the inside, thought about it, and then Simon Orange just runs out wide, runs out of real estate, up the curb, onto the grass, and John Kearney says, thank you very much.
A bit of an agricultural excursion from both of them. It's Kearney, who I think was looking in his mirror at Orange and then kicked it up through that little kink as they go down the back straight here. But great move from John Kearney. First ever GT3 race in that Optimum McLaren against a very experienced and very fast at times Simon Orange. And we've got fire there on the Ginetta. Jack Mitchell, our GT4 leader. I think that's the exhaust on the right-hand sill. He will want to get out of that. That's not the nicest place to stop, but he's got the horrible decision to get out, and you can see why, because that cockpit is engulfed in flames. Expect a full course yellow.
Yeah, I was going to say at least a full course yellow, probably a safety car, because we're going to need fire truck, fire marshals to this. This might help number 7 Aston get back into the game, but perhaps the bigger question is what has caused that so suddenly, because that is quite a big fire. You could see all the black smoke billowing out. Prepare for full course yellow. Peter Daly, the race director, instructs the teams full course yellow straight away. The benefit of doing this is you can get everybody to slow down on instruction. You don't need to worry about the safety car being deployed and picking up the relevant car. You just get everybody to slow down, then you can take control of the race and of the situation. As there is number 7 Giacomo Petrobelli. He's in 12th place. Now at the moment a full course yellow is of not huge benefit because the gaps don't come down, but I reckon we will end up going safety car and that will bring him back into the game. But we've got no fire marshal there yet. The Ginetta is well ablaze, and that is going to be a very sorry mess if nothing gets to it soon.
Yeah, it's hard for the marshals because all the fire trucks on the outside there on the GP loop, so they've got to get control, race control, to give them clearance to cross a live circuit. Of course, at 80 kilometers an hour, it's safer, but yeah, that's going to be a huge fire. And I don't know what's caused the fire, but where it was in the sill, the fiberglass against the exhaust, maybe a piece of rubber has burnt and it's created that.
And worse, in a sense, is that because it's early in the race, it's full of fuel. If this were, 2 laps from the end, it'd be relatively light, but there's a lot of fuel there. That's going to take some stopping, and it's going to burn a lot.
Yeah, originally I thought Jack had stopped maybe slightly early, but when he opened the door and you saw how much black smoke, Marshall's there now, the pickup truck behind with the larger extinguisher, and Josh Miller there voicing his thoughts on it. He has had zero luck this
well, absolutely. I was going to say, what is it about Mahiki? Because at every race meeting, they look to have so much potential, so much promise, and something out of the blue goes wrong, whether it's been with the Lotuses or they thought they got the solid option with the Ginetta. And here it is. Have a look in the replay. So Jack Mitchell accelerates down towards Hawthorne. There's the flame licking to the right-hand side.
but that's not flame spitting out on overrun. By this stage, we've got a real problem. You can see the flame again coming out at the side of the car. The smoke as well. Jack knows about this. He aims for the best place he can out of harm's way at the next marshal's post, but the car's already well ablaze.
Yeah, and the marshals have now done a good job of containing that fire. I thought that was going to be a total loss at one point, but those sills really do light up, and they're just the resin in the fiberglass is basically a fuel for the fire.
Well, Jack Mitchell sadly out of the race, and poor old Josh Miller doesn't know where to look. To make matters worse, he's been caught by Bryn Lucas.
You like to set it up that way, don't you? Now, Josh, I'm really sorry to have to come to you in this way, but that's unexpected. When will your luck change?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. It's pretty tough to take this one. It seems pretty relentless this season. Luck just hasn't gone our way, and we had no reason to suspect anything was wrong with the car right up until that point. So it's a bit of a shock to all of us.
I was just talking to Chris Emery. We're going to come to him a little bit later on and get a bit of a clearer picture from him. Hopefully that's the team manager at Mahiki. But can you tell me what your initial thoughts are that may have caused that?
I'm not really going to comment or guess right now. But yeah, I'm sure Chris will come to you with an update in due course.
And what about Jack? He's out of the car, he's okay and everything like that?
Yeah, he got out of the car pretty quickly, so he's all good.
Sorry about this. It's horrible to come to you in this way, but hopefully Donington will bring you better luck.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
It's got to be at Donington because that's the last round. Some very somber faces, understandably. And as we were saying, it was a car full of fuel. So not only was it whatever the problem was that triggered the blaze, the fact that the amount of fuel was there just rather exacerbated the whole situation. So, real stop-start beginning to the race. Full course yellow, we're going to end up with a safety car surely, because the longer you run under full course yellow, the more likely it is, and there is the safety car on track. The lights aren't on, so we're not yet under safety car conditions. If you're wondering why the gaps haven't closed, they can't do that until we go into the safety car procedure. At the moment, we're under full course yellow. That means you have to run at this delta pace, but only on instruction from race control. To go into safety car procedure, can you accelerate? Safety car goes faster at motorway speed, if you like, than the full course yellow delta speed. So only then, when the safety car takes charge, can you speed up and the gaps can come down.
Yeah, and that's what Petrobelli needs. And looking at his lap times, currently the fastest car, easy for me to say, but I think he's got more pace than that, so I think he could charge all the way from where he is in 12th at the moment, maybe to the top 5, top 4. Of course, the pace is one thing, overtaking is another, and he's going to have 35 minutes, 22 laps or so to try and rescue a decent result today.
Rob Collard, who is the outright race leader, has 10 seconds of extra time to serve in the pits. Wiper on Alex Martin's Lamborghini. Is that because he got a bit of liquid onto the screen? In second place, Kevin Say, 20 seconds. Third, Charles Dawson, no extra time to serve. And then in fourth place, Alex Martin, 15 extra seconds. So, yeah, if Giacomo Petrobelli can make some progress on the resumption of the race, he is going to be able to buy a few more places back on the stops. As you look at number 17, which is now the GT4 leading car, Harry George at the wheel of the McLaren. And that's another combination that's been a bit short of luck this year, him and Luca Hopkinson.
Yeah, lots of car issues. You can see he's got his hand out of the little window there on the McLaren Artura, trying to get some fresh air. Not the best place to do it next to the Ginetta that's on fire, but drivers do get hot, and that McLaren Artura does run hot, so the driver's always trying to get some fresh air. Team will be talking to him, right, we've got another 30 minutes we need from you. And at the moment, sitting pretty, but of course, the gap behind him is going to evaporate once the safety car comes out, and Ravi Ramid, who was 7.5 seconds behind before this, will be right on the rear of this 17 Optimum car.
Coming then now through Sterling's. So we're working lap number 13 at the moment. We haven't seemingly had that many full racing laps, what with the early safety car period for Mark Warren, now the safety car period for poor old Jack Mitchell. And here is Giacomo Petrobelli, who has copped the penalty. But it was a mechanic, as you saw from that onboard shot, that got the fan onto the front of the car, and that was what did, under the regulations, to trigger that drive-through penalty. But all they can do is regroup, keep on pushing. You never know what's around the corner, and Mahiki Racing will confirm that.
Yeah, they really will. Well, they look like they were cruising nicely. Pace of Mitchell was good, and Josh Miller quick. And yeah, I think safety car's gone out slightly prematurely. I think they probably want to at least get that Ginetta near a flatbed before they release the safety car to keep everyone safe. Because of course, those GT4s, as soon as we go to safety car, will be quick, and they won't want to have anyone working on the side of the track when the car's even under safety car speed to catch the train up on the track.
Yeah, Lorna Vickers, or Lorna Daly as she is now, very handy Formula Ford 1600 racer. She's been the safety car driver for British GT for many, many seasons now, and knows exactly what is required of her
once the safety car procedure kicks in. They're going through number 77, Morgan Tilbrook, 5th in the race. 6, you can see Andrew Howard's blue and white Aston. Number 9, 7th is Mark Smith. Andrew Howard leading in silver Am. The opposition is the Honda that's at the back of this little quartet. So the car of Johnny Ip, number 86, you'll see it in a moment, the blue and white Honda. There it is, coming towards us. That is the other car battling in silver Am. There is Andrew Howard then going through the right-hander of Westfield. The road plunges downhill. You can see the work still going on to put out the blaze. And then a bit further back in the queue, in 12th place, is Giacomo Petrobelli. His co-driver is Johnny Adam. We heard from him on the grid. Now, I'm afraid it's going to be a rather frustrated Johnny Adam. I suppose all he can do, Bryn Lucas, is shrug and make the best of his stint.
Well, I tell you what, he doesn't look that frustrated, Johnny, given all the circumstances. I know you're very pragmatic and you've been around for a while, even though you're only 21.
21, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's one of these things, unfortunately. There's been a small mistake within the team, and yeah, consequences, we had obviously a drive-through, so it's hard because, you know, we've done a lot of prep for this weekend, we've qualified well. Giacomo's start was what we talked about, try and maybe gauge of going around the outside of paddock, and it paid off, you know. But it's a long race still, anything can happen, you know. We've got no pit stop time as well, others in front have. We'll close up to the back of the pack, but Championship's obviously closing down to the final round now, so we don't want mistakes, but yeah, we'll see. It's still a long way to go.
You hinted there about closing up the gap here, the full course yellow, the safety car. It looks like it might be quite a protracted safety car period we're going to go through here. How does that play into your favour, or does it?
It does a little bit in terms of others. For example, the Kevin Say car has 20 seconds in the pits, so the longer it's out, the better it is for them, but worse for them. But yeah, for us, it's more trap position. You know, we're at the back of the GT3, so Giacomo, when he gets going, hopefully he can maybe make a few more positions. It'd be nice to come in the top 8 maybe in the pit stops, but yeah, this weekend was about executing. Unfortunately, a small mistake in the pit on the grid is a big consequence for us.
Quick thoughts on Giacomo. He's not been to Brands for over 10 years, and he doesn't get a practice session ahead of the time as well. So Saturday when he jumped in the car was the first time he was able to do it in that more than 10-year period. How has he adapted, and what's so good about him that enables him to do that?
We spent a bit of time on Friday morning at the simulator, so we used base performance in Banbury, and yeah, we done 3 hours there, and to be fair, he sort of thinks about racing even in business terms, because he's very much dedicated to the sport. So he done a lot of prep at home on his home sim. So as much as he hadn't been here, it felt like the sim was the best session we've had all season, because he'd put so much effort into this weekend, having not raced here last year. So hit the ground running, he's not made any mistakes, he's driven really cleanly all weekend, and he's on the pace as well. So he's been a joy to work with this year, as is the team. You know, we've really put a lot of effort into this year. We are a single car team against Optimum and 2Cs and others and Barwell. So we're fighting against them, but we're doing as best as we can. But yeah, hopefully a bit of luck we can need now for the rest of the race, and maybe get a good result.
We shall have to see. We shall have to see. Thanks very much, Johnny. Very quickly, talking about simulators and getting things ready. I was talking to 2Cs earlier on, David, and they were saying that they've been working so hard on calibrating their sim to make sure it matched what was going on track here. And so far for 2Cs, so far so good. Maybe big question mark.
It's looking promising enough, isn't it, Bryn? For now, thank you. Just going back to Johnny Adam there in that last couple of sentences, perfect illustration of why Johnny is a required factory driver. No blame to the team, no accusations, complimentary about his teammate, just says all the right things, doesn't get angry about it, takes it on the chin, shrugs, gets on with life. You know, there's always a chance of a result to come, and you know, there are some drivers that would have been quite stroppy about that and quite keen to point the finger. Johnny's not that kind of a guy.
Yeah, annoyingly, I wish I was more like Johnny Adam. I think we all should be more like Johnny Adam and make a great politician later in life. Driver that won't be as happy. You just saw Jack Mitchell looking on into the distance at his burnt Ginetta as we see the championship standings here, and it is that 42 Mercedes leading at the moment. The gap smaller, of course, because the sister car is only 3.5 points behind. And then Hugo Cook by himself because, like you said, David, Rob Collard having to miss a round at the start of the year. So championship tight in GT3.
This is how we stand at the moment in the championship then. It is Charles Dawson and Cian Jewiss ahead by 3.5 points from Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz, and then you've got Hugo Cook now third on 132. And of course, things are liable to change over the course of the remaining 90 minutes. Don't forget that we will be getting to the pit stop window. Now, in GT3, as I said earlier on, 18 Mercedes will carry an extra 20 seconds, 15 extra for number 78, Lamborghini just in the background. Number 1, Rob Collard, the leading car, that's got 10 seconds extra to serve. In GT4, number 71, the BMW of Ravi Rami, 20 seconds, 88, which is Ian Duggan's Ginetta has 15, and Brandon Templeton's BMW 14. And those in the Silver Cup, we'll worry about this in the pit stops, but they've got an extra 24 seconds to serve as well. Although the safety car is on track, just to remind you, we're not yet under safety car conditions. We're still under full course yellow. The safety car is there so that as soon as the race director is happy, we can go to safety car procedure, and the safety car is there. It's in the right place, ready to go. We don't have to waste any more time by scrambling the safety car or it going out and having to wait to find the leader. It's found the leader, it's ready. We're just waiting to activate that safety car procedure, and that will happen pretty much once that car is on the back of the flatbed and it's on the move.
Yeah, I'd say we're probably going to go back to green flag racing in the next 9 minutes, which will give the GT4 cars 18 minutes until their pit window and 22 minutes for the GT3s before they are allowed to pit. So I think that recovery truck will get going, and once it's in pit entry, then Peter Daly will call the safety car. Lap and a half, 2 laps of safety car, then we go back.
Just go back to that fan on the grid. Okay, that's the rule. The reasoning behind not allowing fans, is that a cost thing? Is that so that it's a level playing field? Some teams have them, some don't. How does it
it's got to be a cost thing, but in the whole scheme of what the budgets are involved, it is arbitrary. And the problem is other series allow it, and that's the problem for the teams. You just get well versed in a series, then you go next weekend into a different championship, and yeah, there's lots of rules in motorsport, and the team's job is to find the loopholes, but when they're written in black and white, there's not really a way around that. Rob Collard's starting to work those tyres. You can actually hear them skipping over the surface, and the drivers now not really concerned about maximising their lap time under the 80k because they know it's going safety car, so they're already starting to work their tyres and brake temperatures to try and get ready for this restart.
And also you can see on that graphic that the GT3 drivers have to do a minimum of 62 minutes before they can hand over. In GT4 it's 58 minutes, and all the stops have to be done by the end of the 70th minute of the race. You don't have to be back on track, but the car has to have come into the pits by minute 70. So over the line comes Rob Collard, and he has a little jaunty wave as he tries to get some cool air. There is 18, Kevin Say in second place. Charles Dawson is third in 42, and Alex Martin is in fourth place. There is 78, Alex Martin, going down towards Paddock Hill Bend. His co-driver this weekend is the very, very rapid Finn, Patrick Kujala. Great to have him back in the championship. Patrick's with Bryn.
Extremely rapid, and you're going to have to be very rapid when you get in the car, aren't you, Patrick, because you've got that 15-second pit stop compensation time to serve, and it's so bunched up at the moment.
I mean, it's a hard place to overtake, so I will try my best, but we try to maximize the result here, so then the boys have a good position going for the last round.
How much pressure is on your shoulders then to deliver a good result for Alex when it comes to this championship? He's on the outsides of the championship looking in, really.
I mean, there is always pressure every race weekend that I do, but like I said, I try to do my best, and sometimes it's enough, sometimes it's not enough, but as long as I try my best, that's what it counts.
What do you know about Brands Hatch and the best places to go on the attack to find the extra few seconds and to get past tenths of seconds?
I mean, it's mainly how you manage the traffic. I mean, that's the key part here, and that's the only hope that you get when you're racing with the pros. It's how you manage the traffic, and sometimes you get the opportunities thanks to that. So hopefully I get plenty of those today and manage it well.
We know that Brands Hatch is a great circuit for the fans to come and view racing, but for you drivers as well, coming overseas to a place like Brands Hatch, it's one of the most iconic ones here in the UK with the fast flowing, or the nature of the hills around here as well.
No, it's a lovely track, especially for qualifying, low fuel, new tyres. It's a great experience, yeah.
What makes it such a great experience for you?
It's just the track layout, everything, and the fast corners, everything, also the history. So, yeah.
So get out there, enjoy it when you get there, hopefully make up some spaces as well, some positions. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
We're under safety car conditions. That means we're getting closer to the resumption of the race. Patrick Kujala touching on the history. It's Brands Hatch's centenary next year. Right, fans getting ready for the resumption of the race, and so too the teams, because they now need to start thinking about the pit stop window, effectively, which is, it's getting closer all the time.
Yeah, they'll be really starting to make sure that they are well versed. We saw a penalty already for the 7 car for fans. Then you get penalties in the pit stop. Too many people over the line, fueling before the doors close, visors not being down for mechanics. So the teams will just be going through their final rehearsals. These cars working super hard left to right, leaving the rubber marks down. New tyre this year, of course, the Pirelli DHG. And it seems like the rear tyre seems to hold on a bit longer as well. So let's keep an eye on the pit stop. Like I said earlier, the one Lamborghini only doing left side. Let's keep an eye for anyone else doing that as well. And yeah, great job Patrick Kajala in the championship. I just think Finland, how many drivers they produce, population of 5.5 million, but they really know how to produce a fast racing driver.
Absolutely right. They're not too shabby at providing rally drivers either, are they? There in GT4, you've got number 17 McLaren leading the way. It is Harry George at the wheel, upholding Optimum's honour now with 90 out of the race.
Yeah, we haven't had a GT4 race winner that hasn't come from Optimum or Century in 11 races. The car to do it before that.
The safety car is coming in this lap.
Peter Day trying to interrupt my
safety car speed up, please.
It was Charles Dawson, championship leader in GT3.
Thank you. So, speed up safety car, says the race director, and that means that everybody behind it can therefore go quicker still to get the warmth into tyres and also get the pressures up as well. Let's rapidly, before we go back racing, hear from Tom Wood. His co-driver Andrew Howard, you're looking at, is in 6th place, leading Silver Am in GT3. Let's get to Bryn.
Thanks very much, David. Yeah, Tom, you're looking very rapid out there, and with the way it's gone so far today, and you're down in P6 at the moment, but there could be a podium here for you guys.
Yeah, our job at the moment is obviously to win our class. You know, we want to win this championship in Silver Am, you know, this year. So that's our main priority. But anything overall is obviously a bonus. The guys this weekend have done such a great job with the car. Andrew's done an amazing job as well. He's been improving all year, very, very quietly, you know, good about his business, but he's showing some really great pace at the moment, and our Aston Martin is doing really well.
Well, safety car's in, so off we go. Back to you, David.
Bryn, thanks. We're back green, so it is Rob Collard that leads the way from Kevin Say, and then Charles Dawson up to 3rd, and with the 2 cars ahead having extra long pit stops, that car suddenly looks as though it's going to be very competitive for a race win. In GT4, meanwhile, there, Ravi Ramyid tries to fend off number 69 of Luke Garlick. Garlick tries to chop up to the outside line for Druids, but he's not going to be able to do that. That BMW defending really well, but Ramyid then, does he compromise his own line into the hairpin? Got away with that.
He really did, wasn't he, Ravi Ramyid, putting his stick in the sand, and you shall not pass me there, Luke Garlick, and he's going to have to try and get round, and this is Mahiki's best chance of a result today. Petrobelli round the outside of Simon Orange. Simon Orange not doing any laps in warm-up, and I think that's starting to hurt him now, because this pace is not there in the 67 car.
Right, so now Petrobelli is moving himself up in GT3. So he was through the GT4 traffic just before we went safety car, and now he's starting to make some progress within the GT3 ranks as well. Collard, in the meanwhile, though, trying to edge away up front. The GT4 lead car remains number 17 McLaren, but you're looking there at Luke Garlick, who is currently 15th overall, 4th in the contest. As for the race lead, Kevin Say has now put himself right onto the tail of Rob Collard. They're coming out of Stirling's, and Charles Dawson, who, remember, in the most recent green flag part after the full course yellow, he had managed to drop back quite a bit. He's staying with them for now.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a 2, 3, 4, almost a 5-car battle with Tilbrook just hanging on the back of it. Then Andrew Howard with a bit of a gap behind teammate Tom Wood, who we spoke. We're looking back here from Rob Collard. What a great angle. You can see those 3 cars tightly behind 2 Mercedes, and then the sister car of Martin gives you a great illustration there of the vibration. You can see Kevin Say starting to get frustrated. He'll know that Dawson will want to get past him as well, so he's got a couple of laps while Collard seems to be getting back up to speed to try and get moved up.
Charles Dawson 3rd then. He's coming under attack from Alex Martin, and a big effort again. Luke Garlick tries to squeeze up the inside line against Ravi Ramyid at the hairpin. He can't do it. You've got Brandon Templeton's BMW there as well, the black BMW, the teammate to 71, come out of the same Century Motorsports stable. So Ramyid here, by having to go defensive, that means he's dropping back rather from Harry George, the GT4 leader, outright. So there is 71 BMW, and the run now down towards the right hand of Hawthorne once again. Ravi Ramyid could do without being attacked, but he hasn't got the grunt to get away.
No, Garlick will be relishing this, a chance to get 2nd place in his first race in British GT in this GT4 Mahiki Run Ginetta, and at the moment it looks like when, not if. Can he get down to the insider here at Westfield? It's not a big break zone. He's more just trying to force Ramyid into a mistake at the moment by filling the mirrors of that BMW M4.
Nose to tail they run. They've actually got away a little bit though from Brandon Templeton, who was right with them at Druids. The black BMW, the third of these cars, has just dropped back by 2 or 3 lengths. They come down towards Sterling's, and there an effort is made again. Garlick tries to get up the inside, but can't find a way through. So Ravi Ramyid in the BMW fending him off as they come now down towards Clearways. Once more, BMW versus Ginetta. Century Motorsport ahead of Mahiki. Nose to tail they run. Up front, it's only 0.2 of a second between Rob Collard and Kevin Say. But here, Garlick tries to make the move on the outside line as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. The only option there is the outside line, but then Garlick needs to try to cut across the road, doesn't he? And squeeze up the inside, heading for Druids. Can't do it. He's committed to the outside.
Hard and fair racing so far. Ravi Ramyid definitely doesn't want to lose the position here. We saw contact with Ravi and the 90 Oxford McLaren. I think this is going to be job done now for Garlick. Great move, cut up the inside, and is now going to try and make his escape and try and catch that McLaren. That is the whole straightaway here in between turns 3 and 4.
And rather cheekily there, Brandon Templeton flashing his lights at Ramyid as if to say, come on, get out of my way. Well, it's only because of that battle he's caught up, but he's being impudent enough to suggest that Ramyid goes faster. Look, he's again on the lights there, all of a sudden fancying his chances. That's not going to go down hugely well with his teammate, that's for sure. Right, now Garlick getting away a little bit as we have Luke Garlick on his second warning for track limits at Graham Hill Bend. He's got to be careful within the remainder of his stint. And this is for the race lead. Nose to tail again. Rob Collard versus Kevin Say. Rob always goes well around here. Kevin Say likes these kind of circuits. Remember, he's been a winner at Alton Park in the past. He comes up towards the timing line. His co-driver Maxi Gertz watches on at the margin, 0.290 of a second. It's Lamborghini ahead of Mercedes AMG.
And Mercedes AMG have never won here at Brands Hatch. That is an amazing statistic for such a successful brand. 2 seasons successful team as well with that brand now, and this battle really raging on, and Collard definitely holding up the top 4 cars now. Kevin Say will know he's got 20 minutes left of this stint. Is he going to send a move? Maxi Gertz, his teammate there to Kevin Say, looking pretty chilled at the moment. Always find it interesting when the pro hasn't got a set of headphones on, talking to the AM, trying to give some advice. He's obviously got the confidence. Kevin Say knows what he needs to do.
Nose to tail they run then. Kevin Say, the man from Macau, Rob Collard, race leader, started his career in oval racing. His father, the late Mick Duffy Collard, legend of hot rod racing in the 1970s and 80s. Rob came from the ovals to Formula 4, to Vectras, to touring cars, and then British GT champion in 2020 and 2024. But Kevin Say is crawling all over the back of the leading Lambo as they head up towards Sheen Curve. Collard knows how to defend, that is for sure. You have got to be committed to get past Rob Collard, and it is the Lamborghini that leads coming out of Sterling's. Charles Dawson is just dropping away slightly.
Yeah, ever so slightly. The last lap was slightly slower for Dawson. That's actually allowing Tilbrook and Howard to get on the back here. So this could be a 6-car battle if Collard doesn't find his pace. There's Maxi Gertz on the picture-in-picture on the left, on the timing screen. Second place at the moment. And they have got that longer pit stop compensation time than anybody else as well. And he's now starting to look a bit more stressed. Kevin Say slightly further back. Seems to be very strong in sector 1 here. Under braking for Druids. Then the V10 versus the V8 acceleration. Lamborghini versus Mercedes. It seems even in the mid part of the lap, and then maybe slightly favours the Lamborghini. This is why GT3 racing, balanced performance racing, is always so good to watch.
Look in the background. Giacomo Petrobelli has cleared John Kearney's green McLaren. He's on the back now of Nick Jones in the Porsche. So Petrobelli is edging his way forward. And of course, with a shorter pit stop, we'll be able to gain some ground in the pit window as well. But it's going to be advantage to Kean Jewiss, who will take over that car, 42 Mercedes AMG after the stops. And there is Petrobelli, look, already on his toes up the inside of the Porsche. Nothing Nick Jones could do there to stem the tide, as it were. Giacomo Petrobelli absolutely on a mission.
Yeah, he will be furious, not with himself, not with his teammate, with the team for that error that cost them 25 seconds, lost them the race lead. Remember how dominant he looked on those opening laps. It looked like he was going to cruise away. Hand the car over to Johnny Adam to get Johnny Adams' 21st race win in the championship. And that would have been how Johnny Adam pictured it as well. So their plan's gone out the window. What can they recover? What can they rescue from today?
Over the timing line, Collard edging away again, and it is only edging from Kevin Say. Dawson is third there in the Mercedes. Fourth is Martin, fifth is Tilbrook, sixth is Howard. Gap back, Mark Smith in the McLaren is next ahead of Johnny Yip. And there, Giacomo Petrobelli, who is gobbling up the real estate. He is now 8 tenths behind the Honda.
Yeah, I can see Kearney there getting on the apex curb well at Paddock. And yeah, what's Say doing? Pace-wise dropped off on that last lap, lost nearly 2/10 to the Lamborghini in front, and actually Dawson now doing the same pace. And we see this in GT racing now, getting in the dirty air. If you don't make the move within the first couple of laps, as Maxi Gotts now warms up, he knows he's got 17 minutes until he'll be in that Mercedes. Petrobelli will want to get past Johnny Ip, but that Honda is so fast in a straight line. That is going to be the toughest overtake of the day for him.
That's John Kearney going through. Maxi Gotts going through his stretches before he gets into the car. And that is Giacomo Petrobelli, who is starting to get closer all the time to the Honda ahead of him, of Johnny Ip. He is stretching the gap over Nick Jones behind, so Petrobelli is 9th, and it won't be long before he's in 8th place. The lead gap comes down. It's rather elasticated, isn't it? There are certain parts of the circuit that seem to be favouring the Lamborghini. There are others that seem to be favouring Kevin Say, and there are a couple of cars now under investigation for the safety car restart. One is the Honda of Ip, the other is the Porsche of Jones.
Interesting. So again, race control will be looking at all the data there, but it's not just the ebb and flow of the sectors, is it? I think because Brands Hatch is so tight, so technical, the drivers have to drive at 98%, because if you drive at 101, you make a mistake, you're straight in the barrier, and you're just seeing them all manage this risk versus reward every single lap of the race. Petrobelli in deep there, that's going to lose him a bit of time, and you are going to start to see more and more marbles off the racing line as these Pirelli tyres start to shed the rubber. If you run off the line, you'll pick up the marbles, and then it takes you half a lap minimum to clear up. On board with Petrobelli. Let's watch this Honda. We're quicker in the corners, slower in the straights. Petrobelli will be trying to force a mistake out the Honda, force him in deep to a corner. This is a feint to the inside. Can he make him run in deep? Can we get a late air apex? Can we get on the throttle earlier and get the drive down the back straight?
We're almost together coming out of Surtees then. Speed building, you're on board with Giacomo Petrobelli in the front engine Aston Martin. The Honda goes underneath the bridge, down towards Hawthorne. The road climbs, though it's steeper than you think as he goes into the right-hander. Then the road levels again on that short straight down towards Westfield. Petrobelli is closing, but he's now managed to catch at pretty much the narrowest and twistiest part of the circuit. Finding a gap around this part, you've got to be committed.
Yeah, these cars are so fast, so wide. That's why the drivers rave about it. You can see the quick dry being kicked up there. They're having to change their line. That is from an earlier instant in the race, and I wish Max Murray well as well, and the Jewiss Junior driver a fast recovery. But Petrobelli now getting frustrated, the car darting left to right, bit of oversteer as well that he's having to correct. And I love this view, it speeds the view up. This is how quick it feels over the start finish line. Look how tight it is, and you're trying to spot Paddock Hill, which then suddenly comes in. The cars dive downhill, 22 meters of gradient. The car bottoms out so much so you can't change the steering angle. This is one of the best racetracks in the world, but Petrobelli, I don't think, will agree with me right now.
And he just can't find a way past the Honda, and he's being held up slightly because the Aston was able to gobble up the real estate to catch the NSX, but now, because he can't find a way through, he's got to run at the Honda's pace. And of course, Johnny Ip is doing what he needs to do. He's defending, he's hanging on to his place. He is perfectly entitled so to do. It's just a big frustration for the Italian. Giacomo Petrobelli, again, now uses the loud pedal coming out of Surtees. We know that this is a part of the circuit where he's quick, where he's going to be able to catch. But by the end of the straight, on the way down towards Hawthorne's, running out of options to pass.
Yeah, and he'll be working that front tyre hard as it loses out. Look how much speed he carried through there. And that's what he needs to do. And then get a slight bit of luck and hope that Ip makes a mistake at the same corner. He's all over. Ip's going to the inside. I've never seen a move work through here. He's trying to force the issue. Ip was weaving left to right, but that's the flow of the circuit. And Petrobelli was trying to find it. Now Nick Jones is on the back of them too. So Petrobelli may have to start looking in his mirrors.
Out of Sterling's they come. He needs to try to get the move done at Paddock, and it's got to start now. He's got to get a good run all the way down through Clearways, here through Clark Curve, and then get close enough to make that move going down towards Paddock Hill Bend. The Aston Martin looks close enough, I doubt, as they head over the timing line now. So Johnny Ip goes through. He is 0.2 of a second up on Petrobelli, who is not going to be able to dive up the inside there because he's not close enough. And coming out of Paddock, he's not close enough either. He goes to the inside line, all the while trying to force a mistake out of Johnny Ip, who is standing his ground lap after lap, corner after corner. The frustration is building in the Aston Martin.
Massively so. The last lap at 27.3. Collard just did the fastest lap of the race at 25.1. 2.2 seconds lost from this Aston Martin of Petrobelli to Rob Collard, race leader, in one lap. That's all because this Honda is holding them up. And here's some GT4 traffic to liven up even more.
That is Charles Dawson lapping the slower cars. He's chasing after Kevin Say, who's fallen back from Collard now to the tune of 1.5 seconds. Martin gets past John Curry. Also number 77, Morgan Tilbrook's McLaren gets past the Mercedes. You can see how different the GT4 Mercedes looks compared to the GT3 equivalent. up towards Sheen Curve. That's Andrew Howard, the ice cream magnate, going through. Beach Dean very generously feeding people in the pit lane walkabout at 9 o'clock this morning. The marshals did the first lap, the fans got the second lap, so everybody fortified for the day. Really nice touch by Beach Dean, especially for the marshals, who are going to have a long, hot day out on post. So down through clearways then comes that leading line. There is Petrobelli, who's cleared the Honda, and not only cleared it, he's cleared off.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's the illustration of how he was losing 2 seconds a lap and how he has gapped him there. Now it is head down. He's got 12 minutes remaining of his stint, so he's going to get 6 laps running really deep there. He's on the cusp of overdriving this car, flashing the headlights, trying to get Curry out of the way. Curry moving to the inside to say he's not letting through. That's another 5-6 tenths lost straight away. He's got to try and go all the way around the outside now and hope that Curry gives him the space, which he does well in the 30 GT4 Mercedes.
So John Curry dives to the left-hand side. Giacomo Petrobelli gets past the Mercedes. The other GT3 cars now will also work their way past Curry, who lets them all go and then claims the line back for 30. So Petrobelli's next target, Mark Smith, who's 3.4 seconds up the road. Now we need to start thinking about pit stops, don't we? Rob Collard, race leader, 10 extra seconds to serve. Kevin Say, 20. Charles Dawson in 3rd place, no extra time. It's all playing out beautifully for the championship leaders.
Yeah, after a strong start, they were 6th on the grid, remember, and a really good opening stint. Got Dawson up to 4th. Penalty for Petrobelli, he's now 3rd. Martin is behind him. Pace is okay, isn't it, for Dawson? It's not been amazing. Remember, he had an off in qualifying, ran wide. So did his teammate, Kian Jewiss, as well. So it's not like the car's easy to race. So they'll be happy but cautious at the moment.
But he doesn't necessarily need to be going any quicker. He's going to buy the lead because he's within 10 seconds of Rob Collard. So the team will be saying, OK, this pace is good. Kian Jewiss, as the incoming driver, the higher graded driver, he's the one that's perhaps going to have the pressure in order to build the gap. But remember how good Kian Jewiss has been against Maxi Goetz as an example this year. His first season of racing, the Mercedes AMG, Kian Jewiss, he has been an absolutely outstanding driver in his stints. So is Charles Dawson in these AM stints, the bronze driver stints. And as the cars now run along Cooper Straight, you're looking back at Alex Martin in 4th place. It's going to be an interesting second stint as well. Patrick Kujala, for example, up against Jewiss. You're going to have Hugo Cook up against Maxi Goetz. You know, there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, huge amount as we get the second drivers in. And no further action for the safety car restart for 86 and 66. So everybody all clear again at the moment. Andrew Howard has lost position to Smith, hasn't he? That's changed in the last couple of laps. Howard was actually looking very strong. I thought pace-wise he was within a second and a half of Tilbrook, who's now 4.5 seconds ahead of him. So it's been a rough couple of laps for the ice cream man who's been so kind today.
And there you've got Mark Smith ahead of Andrew Howard. Martin Plowman will go toe-to-toe with Tom Wood, and they're both being caught, look, by Petrobelli. That gives you an example of just how quickly Giacomo is going around here. The fastest lap still claimed by Rob Collard, and he did that a couple of laps ago, but Petrobelli is flying. When the track is clear enough for him to wring the time out of the car, he's certainly hustling.
Yep, he's 3rd fastest car on track. Collard's just gone faster again. Say's gone quicker. Then it's this car, 3rd fastest. Andrew Howard. Different teams. Beach Dean versus Blackthorn, both Aston Martins. Petrobelli will be whipped up here on Howard and want to get around. And then Smith is realistically his last target, I think, in his stint that he can get around. And that means he would have claimed all the way back up to 6th place. He would have done 6 cars in almost half a stint with the safety car.
And you never know what might come in the second stint to bunch things up and give Johnny Adam a lifeline. So this is Petrobelli making his move against Andrew Howard, who covers off the inside as best he can. Petrobelli goes to the inside line, easily done on the inside, goes through. I think Andrew Howard realised that wasn't a battle he was going to win.
Now, he went to the inside, Smith kicking up the dirt in front of them, and then Petrobelli showed how aggressive he was, and Howard thought, oh, you know what, there's no point fighting this. You could see on the graphic up previously the time difference, and it wasn't really a fair fight. Petrobelli now can keep that momentum going and gain on Smith in that paddock McLaren in front.
Rob Collard, by the way, the race leader, has done another fastest lap of the race, and he's extending the gap now over Kevin Say. There is Petrobelli. He's up into 7th, and the top 6 beckons, we reckon, before he has to bring the car into the pit lane to give way to Johnny Adams. So he's chasing after Mark Smith. It was about a second before he cleared the Aston of Andrew Howard. So let's see what Giacomo Petrobelli can do then, as the American driver Mark Smith is his next target. That's the leader, Rob Collard, 2.9 seconds now. Last time around, another 10th gain. Fastest lap of the race done by Rob Collard a couple of laps back. And there he is, heading into Druids with another back marker. It's Brandon Templeton ahead in the BMW.
Yeah, he's got 3 more GT4s to clear, and I think he's going to have to do all 3 of them before the end of his stint. This first one of Templeton's going to be easy. That's no time loss whatsoever, because he ran me starting to lose time on the sister BMW there. Kevin Say with another good overtake. Dawson should be okay. Alex Martin in this Lamborghini might be slightly harder. It's going to be by the end of the straight as I go down Pilgrim's Drop. He'll be wanting to get past that white BMW, the GT4 car.
Accelerating then now down towards the right-hander of Hawthorn. We're on lap number 30. We've got 65 minutes to go, so the first pit stops will not be too far away. Looking from the back of Charles Dawson's Mercedes AMG, working his way through GT4 traffic, and in the process getting away from Alex Martin, who's a little bit held up there, isn't he, by Ravi Ramji? Not deliberately, just found the car at the wrong part of the racetrack.
Yeah, as predicted. It's just where you catch them, and that is just pure luck. And then you really have to roll the dice of how risky is the move going to be. And that's what Tilbrook's thinking. Do I really want to go around the outside there? But because he looked to the outside, Ravi Ramji's like, well, I'll give you the space. But if Tilbrook had waited a split second then gone to the inside, he would have just saved himself 2 seconds in time loss. And the same for Ravi Ramji. And that is multi-class racing.
So there, look, is Giacomo Petrobelli closing onto the back of Mark Smith. Just under 65 minutes of the race to go as Petrobelli then closes onto the back of the McLaren. When you look at the way that he's got through the traffic, the one car that he had the biggest problem with was the Honda of Johnny Ip. It makes you understand just how good a defensive job Johnny was doing there, because he managed to hold Giacomo off for a good couple of laps, if not more. Closing again under braking.
Yeah, you can see the McLaren looking slightly squirrely under braking turn 1. Hit the bump while turning under braking, and it just snapped the rear out underneath Mark Smith in that black and pink 9 McLaren there. Petrobelli overtook Howard here last lap. I don't think he's close enough this time. Is Ravi Ramji going to hold up that McLaren GT3 car? Is that going to help Petrobelli? I think not. It was close, but there's going to be a big slipstream here for the Aston Martin.
So Petrobelli thinking about where he might be able to make the move then onto the vehicle bridge down towards Hawthorns, pulls out, pulls back in again, had a look, thought better of it, goes right. Collard, meanwhile, is leading by over 3 seconds now as he tries to edge away from the opposition. And Mark Smith on borrowed time, isn't he? Because the flying Giacomo Petrobelli, number 7 Aston Martin, closing all the while. Coming up now through Sheen Curve, goes into the right-hander and then left at Stirling's. They flick their way once more down towards Clearways. Lap number 31 being worked at the moment by the race leader and by these two. And this is the fight currently that's for 6th place. There, Hugo Cook getting himself ready for the pit stops. The GT3 cars have to do 62 minutes, but it's only 58 for GT4 before they can stop.
Yes, all GT4s can pit on their next lap if they want it. They've got to be in pit lane for 2 minutes and 25 seconds plus any compensation time. Silvers have 24 seconds on top of that as well. So it's a long minimum pit stop here. So we'll have to wait for everyone to stop to see where they all pan out. Petrobelli in the GT3 can't pit before 58 minutes remaining. So he's got another 3 to 4 laps depending on where they are on track.
That is the GT4 leader. Harry George will give way to Luca Hopkinson, so the GT4 stint coming to an end. And behind you can see, look at the closing speed, the differential in pace between the GT4 McLaren there and the GT3 Mercedes. Kevin Say on the lights. That McLaren is being driven absolutely flat out, but it can do nothing against a GT3 car, night and day difference.
Yeah, the size difference as well. Smaller tyres, heavier cars, less aero, more physical. And the teams will be looking at it. George here coming into Sector 3. Sector 3 takes 23 seconds. There's only 17 seconds until the window opens, so he could box this lap. Is it too risky? Is George's pace good enough where they don't need to get Hopkinson in as early? But this could be our first pit stop, the 17 McLaren, as he loses the place to the 42. GT3 stays out for another lap.
Yeah, it does indeed. So Harry George will do one more lap at least. Well clear of Luke Garlick now in second spot, who in turn is keeping Brandon Templeton's BMW at bay. The gap between the leaders within GT4 is a whopping one now, because only does Luke Garlick come across the line now. 10 seconds, in fact, the margin. Collard leading by over 4 from Kevin Say for the outright race lead. Andrew Howard's car has gone by 8 behind Petrobelli, who is 3/10 behind Mark Smith, so that's not yet changed, but it could do soon.
Yeah, surprised Rami didn't pit there, the GT4 Pro-Am race leader, to get Charlie Robertson in the car. Qualifying yesterday, Robertson 1 second quicker a lap. That's a second they've lost now, not giving an extra lap to Robertson. Team will always have their strategy, but usually Pro-Am get the AM out the car as early as they can.
77 McLaren, this is the car fifth. Morgan Tilbrook at the wheel of it, heading down through the right-hander of Hawthorn. He's going to give that to Marvin Kirchhofer, recently a double winner within GT World Challenge Europe. That's Mark Smith's McLaren, which will be handed over to the very rapid and underrated Martin Plowman. Giacomo Petrobelli bouncing over the curb. He's next in the queue, desperately trying to find a way by before he needs to pit. And we have got cars in the pit lane. Ian Duggan, you saw getting out to give way to Joe Wheeler, and John Curry is in as well to give way to Phil Keane.
Petrobelli's still sort of the same distance, and these are our Pro-Am GT4 cars left in the race, and that's really going to hurt Smith here. Is Petrobelli going to get the run? He needs to find a gap. George stays out again, so it really blocks Petrobelli's opportunity. Is Smith going to hug the pit wall, try and block the inside line? Petrobelli could look to the inside, which he does, gets alongside. I think this is going to be job done. Smith trying to hang it around the outside. Great job, Petrobelli.
So he's up to sixth, and that is probably about as far as he's going to get realistically. 4 seconds and a bit up the road is Morgan Tilbrook, and before he pits, I don't think Giacomo can catch. He might be able to nibble into that deficit. It's all helping Johnny Adam, isn't it, going into the next part of the race? But I don't think he's going to clear another car. That is coming down the pit lane, Ravi Ramid now, so he's gone 1 lap extra. Maybe the team were just playing it safe to make sure that he was well into that window. But
when they get aboard Bridger versus Wood, you can see the dump churns going in. The cars need to take roughly 120 litres of fuel. Those dump churns have 25 in each, so 4.5 need to get in the end. And George now looks like the rear tyre starting to hurt, sliding more and more. The Tottenham fan will be happy with yesterday, but you want to be happier with today, and at the moment they are in the controlling position as he stays out for another lap.
This is Nick Jones at the Porsche, looking to try to get up the inside of the traffic, which he does. 10th now is Nick in the Team Parker racing car. TPR also busy at Silverstone this weekend, running, can't really call them historic, but classic, if you like, GT3 cars from the early days of the category, which is a burgeoning class. We're going to see more of that at SRO events as well next year. So that is Petrobelli, and he's done the fastest lap of the race. Giacomo Petrobelli now the quickest man in the race. He's done a 1:25.090. That's about a 10th faster than Rob Collard. So Petrobelli, fastest lap of the race. It doesn't often make you think what he could have achieved were it not for that drive-through, which doesn't make the mechanic in question feel any better about life.
No, it's a team sport, like Johnny Adam was saying. He will make a mistake at some point in his career, and the team is exactly the same. But yeah, he will be gutted there. Charlie Robson waiting to leave the minimum pit stop time, essentially leaving the car up in the air to make sure as much tyre temperature stays in these Pirelli tyres as possible. As we now look at Joe Wheeler, son of Peter Wheeler, former TVR owner, and he's a proper hustler. Joe Wheeler taking over from Ian Duggan, who had a steady stint, not his best, not his worst, and this is going to be an interesting battle between them.
So Charlie Robinson ready to rejoin. Into the pits comes Rob Collard. Race leader is in then to give way to Hugo Cook, and you can anticipate a big wave of GT3 machinery down the pit road. Barwell, of course, with 2 cars in that leading group, have to think about double stacking. 1 car will serve 10 seconds. It's Collard's. 1 will be 15, which is the one to come in after. So they won't double stack for long, and they should still leave in the order in which they came in. Fuel churns are ready. Kevin Say has gone through into the lead of the race. So he's stayed out. Everybody else in GT3 is in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's a great camera angle there. You could actually see the round circles where the fuel nozzle goes in, and 120 litres of fuel flowing in. Once that's done in roughly 32 seconds, the car will go up in the air. And let's keep an eye on what tyres are going to change. You can see the mechanics are ready to do tyres. Is it going to be all 4? Just left side. Rob Collard, driver closest. Hugo Cook is going to be the driver getting in that car. They're doing dump churns on the sister car of Martin and Kajaya there, and then Paddock as well behind. So this is a proper race on pit road. Driver change now, all 4 tyres being changed on the 1 car.
Rob Collard runs round to open the door to move the belts to help strap in Hugo Cook, and in the background 78 taking on fuel. You saw how quickly it goes through the churn into the car. See the level of it dropping. This is the pit work going on for Mark Lemmer's Barwell Motorsport team. Meanwhile, a shorter pit stop to serve for 42. Kean Jewiss getting into the car. Johnny Adam will get on board number 7. That also doesn't have to worry about compensation time, but in a sense, it served that earlier on by the drive-through.
Yeah, definitely new tyres for the 1 left side. I don't think it was on the right. No tyres for Johnny Adam on the 7 car. He did 2 sets in qualifying. I think that was their strategy. That's going to hurt them in the race. Windscreen tear-off being done for Hugo Cook, as we're going to see the race on pit lane. Dawson should be clear because he was penalty free. Now Jewiss above the car 42.
Johnny said to me this morning that we're going to use both of their qualifying sets during the race. So whether that's been a change of plan or they've done the tyre stop and we hadn't caught up on that, either way, that was the initial plan. It's a little bit tight leaving the pit lane as Marvin Kirchhofer gets ahead of Hugo Cook, and that gains them track position.
What a release from Barwell to thread it between the McLaren and the Aston Martin there. They would have lost no time whatsoever. It's now battle on here. Hugo Cook versus Kirchhofer versus Johnny Adam. What pace have they all got as they all flood back onto circuit?
Yeah, but ahead of them is going to be potentially Kean Jewiss, isn't it? Let's check. So there you've got going out Marcus Clatton. That's Jay Bridger in the Honda. So there's Jewiss through the GT4 traffic. So it's all swung in favour of 42 Mercedes, as we were predicting, without any extra compensation time to serve in the pits. And second place in the background looks like being Marvin Kirchhofer in the number 77 McLaren. But look at the lead that now 42 has got. Kirchhofer is going to have to be an absolute weapon, isn't he now? He's got 55 minutes and counting to get on terms with that car. And the first problem is he's got traffic to worry about.
Yeah, straight away outlaps. Got to deal with those GT4s, which is the last thing you want. Kirchhofer, the same. Looks like Kirchhofer's had slightly better first half an outlap on the Lamborghini behind him. He is sending it hard. He knows he's got to give it everything to try and catch the car of Jewiss in front. You've got the McLaren in front. Then it's Jewiss, that's the gap. And you can see Hugo Cook working the track, having to get on the brakes, try and get to the inside of the 69. Mahiki Ginetta now with Blake Anglis aboard, did no laps in qualifying, drew a puncher. Robertson's trying to get the run as well. GT3, GT4 battles everywhere you look.
And into the pit lane has just come Harry George, the GT4 leader. So over the line there goes Hugo Cook in for Rob Collard. That GT4 battle is Charlie Robertson going through on the back of Blake Anglis. Right behind them is Johnny Adam, who needs to get past. But Charlie Robertson's experienced enough of multi-class racing. He gives Johnny just enough room. Hopefully Blake Anglis will do the same. So right now Kevin Say leads the way but has yet to stop. And this is interesting because in real terms his pace against the likes of Jewiss and Kirchhofer and Cook and Adam won't be quite as quick, so the gap in real terms is coming down.
Yeah, all they're hoping for is a full course yellow that they can then pit under and lose less time while everyone is at 80. That is a big roll of the dice, and I don't see it happening personally. When we're in the pit window, we tend to not go to full course yellow safety car as quickly or easily. So I think it's their only play today with that 20-second compensation time.
Robertson to the outside of Blake Anglis, then this could turn out to be for the lead of GT4, depending on the stop for Luca Hopkinson to take over 17, and that car is going to be on its way out of the pit lane very shortly as the field now turns through the right of Westfield down towards Sheen Curve. Every possible opportunity. Charlie Robertson is sticking the nose of the BMW into a gap, hoping to rattle Blake Anglis, who is very inexperienced, in fairness to him, at GT4 level.
Yeah, and that 69 car, the white Ginetta, has got an investigation about its pit stop as well, so they potentially getting a penalty. As Plowman in the GT3 McLaren clears both of them nicely. Tom Wood in the background. Has Robertson got the run on him there? Robertson has definitely got the pace, maybe a second a lap faster, but at the moment can't get past.
Here they come, then up towards the line. So right now it is Kevin Say in the lead of the race. We wait for the second place car of Kean Jewiss to go by, and then that will give us the gap. So 38 laps done by the race leader. I'm still surprised he's staying out for as long as this, because the team must know the pace of Maxi Gertz relative to Kean Jewiss and everybody else relative to Kevin Say. So all that's happening now is that in real terms he's being caught. His last lap, Kevin Say, was a 25.5, and Kean Jewiss, his first flying lap, a 24.1.
Yeah,
and a 23.9 from Marvin Kirchhofer. So in real terms, 18, which has got 20 seconds extra to serve, is losing places.
Yeah, 3 laps at 1.5 seconds. You've already lost 4.5 seconds, and I hope it's not a communication issue, and it is just a bold strategy call that's got a slim chance of paying out. But yeah, at the moment, Robertson doesn't seem to get the luck of the traffic helping him. If anything, he's the one that has to lift out to try and allow the GT3s an easier passage. As now Kajaya comes through McLeod in the GT3 McLaren, the bright green one. They took over from John Kearney. Again, Robertson loses out with the GT3 traffic.
Yeah, Kuyula then in the Lamborghini. Callum McLeod in the green McLaren. That is Luca Hopkinson then, who came into the car which was leading GT4. That's Kuyula getting through the traffic. Callum McLeod has to do likewise. Dust settling ahead as others, possibly Tom Wood, have run wide and kicked up the dirt. That blue light flashing on the vehicle bridge there, in effectively echoing at what a blue flag does to say cars quicker behind, move over, be overtaken. Marcus Clatton in that blue and orange McLaren goes by. So there you've got Kuyula going through 9th at the moment. McLeod is 10th. Clatton's in 11th place, and that is the charging Kevin Say. Now, he's the leader on the road, but he owes us his regulation pit stop, and his last lap was a 24.7. He's losing, in the case of Marvin Kirchhofer, who was the quickest man on the racetrack, 2 seconds a lap. He's got to be in this time.
I'm amazed how fuel efficient this Mercedes has been. 70 minutes on a tank of fuel. Finally pits, has got to rush into pit lane as quickly as he can. This is all time still being lost until we get to the white line. Now, Maxi Götz on the left of pit lane there. Remember, car will stop, driver out. Then they've got to get the door closed, back behind the line. Then they will refuel, and there is the gap. Obviously, we have got the minimum pit stop time to adhere to, which is 115 seconds, 1 minute 55. So it's like a lap and a half almost of time. So at the moment, he's got that lap ahead. So now they've got to chase him down for this lap.
Right, so this should put this car into the lead then, ultimately number 42, Kean Jewiss, because his pit stop 20 seconds shorter. I have a horrible feeling that the Harry George Luca Hopkinson pit stop is short because it has come up in red as a warning on our timing screen. So the GT4 leaders, I think, may also find themselves under investigation for the pit stop time as well. That is Kean Jewiss then. Twice a winner on the road this year. Another win in terms of maximum points for being the first of the registered scorers home in the Silverstone 500. So Jewiss to Kirchhofer is 1.3 seconds. The McLaren of Marvin Kirchhofer is quicker, and you can see there up the road the gap is coming down. Maxi Götz being strapped in. New boots go on the Mercedes AMG. This car led coming in, but I do not expect it to be leading once it is back on track. Kevin Say's work is done. He skips around the back of the car. Last wheel goes on. Car will drop down, and the car controller then will release Maxi Götz when the time is ready. Time to perfection, so that by the time that the car's driven down the pit lane, it'll trip the beam, and that will be just over that regulation pit stop time.
Yeah, got a Pirelli sticker stuck in the grille as well. I suppose they didn't clear that out. I think he'll be rolling for another 15 or 20 seconds. It's a long, long wait there. I see the pit stop time is too short, but my math says it's okay. They've got to be there for 2 minutes and 25, plus the 24 seconds for silver, no compensation time, and that does work out to be right. So I don't know if that's a TSL issue. Let's see. That's a very quick mental arithmetic. There is the race lead. There is Maxi Götz going down pit lane. You're right, Dave. He's going to be P5, P6 potentially by the time he's up to speed. I think he's going to slot in somewhere around Plowman, Wood, and Muller. It's actually going to be behind those three. That is a real good illustration of how much a compensation time hurts your pit stop.
But also, by keeping your slower driver out there, how much time was being lost. You know, he's virtually gone to the back of the GT3 class now, having been leading coming in. I know he didn't lead the race, he only got the lead after the other pit stops, but Kevin Say, unless the option was with a clear road ahead that would allow him to go faster, but it hasn't worked out against the pros. So it's been an interesting call by 2Cs. May, as Joe suggested, has been a communication problem, but either way, it has hurt them in the long run, as now this is for the lead. It is Kean Jewiss in the Mercedes, Marvin Kirchhofer behind in the McLaren. 11/10 of a second was the starting point on this lap. We've got 47.5 minutes, just over still to go, and Kirchhofer is flying.
He really is, isn't he? He's been the man of GT3 racing, what feels like for the last 6 months. Pole at Spa, 24 hours, carried on that run in GT World Challenge as well at Misano and Manicourt. Not his best qualifying by his own admission, but the race is looking good for him as we ride on board of him now, starting another lap. This will be lap 41 of the race. We fire along the pitch straight here. We spot our braking point into paddock. We're going to go down to 4th gear. You can see down to 3rd. The rear of the car so lively there. You could see the rear going, and finally is Robertson going to be on the inside of Anglis. He's going to now get the inside all the way. Bridger trying to get past in the GT3 car too.
And the BMW is going to get the place on the inside. Job done. Also in GT4, confirmation the pit stop for number 17 McLaren is okay. Geraint Rees of TSL confirming that it was just a little gremlin in the system. So although it's come up as an alert, it's fine. Don't worry. Move on. Osborne's maths travail once again. And that means that car is still very much in the hunt. Now, Maxi Götz, we saw rejoining the car 11th when it came across the line. So they've gone from first in GT3 to virtually last, other than the Honda here, as the cars come over the line. So, yeah, it was, one would perhaps flippantly say, been the wrong call from 2Cs. But right now, Maxi Götz can try and rebuild. They're 26 seconds back, so, you know, there are 6 seconds that went through Kevin Say's pace.
Yeah, they rolled the dice, it bounced off the table and went down the toilet, didn't it? It wasn't the best move in hindsight, but hindsights make people like me look smart, so we'll leave it at that. But we go back on Bird with Kirchhofer. Let's see the balance of this car. Surprised how lively it looks into turn one. He's fast. We're closing the gap to Jewiss in front in that Mercedes. But just watch as we hit the brakes. You'll see the dash illuminate, the ABS active everywhere. A bit calmer this lap, but maybe he's just starting to take some brake pressure out through Paddock Hill. We did run fourth gear that lap, third the lap before, so he's obviously indecisive where it needs to be, all the way down to second gear, 75 kilometers an hour through Jewiss, hard on the throttle, up to third, now into Graham Hill, soft brake, get the car on top of the apex curve, careful of track limits. We've got Ginetta GT4 car, he'll be thinking I need a late apex here into Surtees to make sure I get a good run out and get past him as quickly as possible. Second gear to aid with that, that would normally be third gear for this McLaren 720S Evo. Now down Pilgrim's Drop, feel like you're going to hit this bridge as you suddenly dive down, car bottoms out as soft as you dare on the brakes, pop it down a couple of gears, get it in again, apex curve is your friend, hard on the throttle, now into Westfield, big bump on entry, big bump on the apex, and then suddenly it's tight on exit. We dive back down the hill through Dingledale, over the rise, kick up the dust on the inside here, all over the curve, and visually look at that gap, it's come down, down, down. We were quicker in the first sector by a tenth and a half, quicker in that middle sector, marginally so, but this third sector has been strong for the McLaren as well into the last corner. The team will be telling him, Marvin, 44 minutes remaining, but where are you going to overtake?
Mercedes has never won in British GT at Brands Hatch. Marvin Kirchhofer has not had a British GT win anywhere. So we're going to make history one way or the other as the cars go towards Paddock Hill Bend. The gap is 7/10 of a second. In third place, it is Hugo Cook, 2.8 seconds back. Johnny Adam is fourth. Now, Johnny's lapping quicker than Hugo Cook. He's lapping quicker than the two leaders. So number 7, Aston Martin, for the podium, that's a real possibility. And if these two squabble and hold themselves up, it's going to get really interesting because 44 minutes is still quite a long way.
Yeah, a huge amount, and that Mercedes is running some extra weight. Kirchhofer there, a brake bias adjustment. You could see his right hand go to the center of the dash. Looked like he was looking for a bit more front bias. So when he hits the brake, there's now more percentage on the front axle. Maybe struggling to get the front end of the car in, or the rear was locking. Vice versa, same answer. There's Johnny Adam. Pace pretty strong for him as well. On that last lap, he took 6/10 out of Cook in the Lamborghini in front. So this battle is developing, and at the moment for us, thankfully, everyone's the wrong way round, aren't they? And I'm just spotted he's missing a Pirelli sticker on the front, so maybe that's the Pirelli sticker in the front of Maxi Gotz's car.
Possibly so, yeah. Johnny Adam last time around quicker than the three ahead of him, so it's concertinaing nicely as far as the race lead is concerned. And Blackthorn now ruining that drive-through because they'd still be in the lead quite comfortably. But Johnny Adam has got to try to make up 2.6 seconds against Hugo Cook. And in the first sector, fractionally slower. In the second, he was fractionally quicker. So let's see what the end of the lap offers up. Jewiss to Kirchhofer, down again, 6/10 for the race lead. This is the view from the Aston Martin. That little dot in the distance is the Hugo Cook-driven Lamborghini, 2.6 seconds the margin. And that time around, Hugo Cook's lap was quicker by 0.02 of a second.
The top 7 cars last lap were separated by less than 1/10 of a second. That shows you the quality of the drivers, these top world-class pros, and the world-class balance of performance. We're allowed to have all of these different manufacturers with completely different car setups, engine size, engine placement, chassis configuration, able to lap so closely. But Kirchhofer, on average, is quicker, and he is gaining on Jewiss. And I think that's going to be a battle in the next 2 laps. And I think it's probably 7 or 8 laps until Johnny Adam on the back of Cook for the final podium position. Jewiss compromised slightly on exit. Look how dirty the track is. Kirchhofer looked like he was backing out of that move as we see Sven Muller aboard the Team Parker Porsche against the back of Tom Wood, lap record holder here, of course, and they've caught Plowman up in the paddock McLaren.
What we also have, of course, now for the race leader is traffic up the road. So not only is Cian Jewiss being caught, he's also got to be mindful of the back markers, and this is where an opportunistic Marvin Kirchhofer is going to be on his toes. Further back there is Nick Jones chasing after Tom Wood, chasing after Martin Plowman. This is for, as you can see, 5th, 6th and 7th on that graphic, showing you the position, the car, the drivers, and the order in which they run. Porsche of Sven Muller ought to be getting up through the traffic. Last time around, Jewiss to Kirchhofer was just 0.598 of a second. They're going up towards Druids at the moment. There's a back marker ahead of them, so Marvin Kirchhofer, the McLaren factory driver, there he is, looking now for just half an opportunity, and he'll take it. Down the hill they come.
Yeah, he really will. And they're going to get another couple of GT4 cars over the next few laps as well. Jewiss again is going to be compromised.
Here you go. This is Kirchhoffer's possible opportunity because he's even closer still on the way up towards 30s. There's not really a McLaren size gap, but he's closer than ever before. This is game on for the race lead. Just under 41 minutes of the race to go. Nose to tail, heading down the hill again towards Hawthorns. The grunt of the Mercedes AMG versus the aero of the McLaren. And on this part of the racetrack, Jewiss just the stronger.
Yeah, Kirchhoffer there. I just want to highlight a point. When we're on board there and he picked the throttle up before Jewiss started accelerating, he negated that concertina effect, the anticipation of when Jewiss was going to accelerate. World class from Kirchhoffer there, and that is what you see of a man of the moment. He's looking for a new contract in motorsport, and at the moment he is making himself a very attractive proposition to any manufacturer in motorsport.
Marvin Kirchhoffer chasing after Cian Jewiss. Cian has been mighty this year in British GT. Marvin Kirchhoffer, as I say, a winner in GT World Challenge Europe in the recent sprint races, one in Misano, one in Manicourt, and he comes then up towards the timing line. So Jewiss getting away slightly as they come over the stripe. Half a second this time is the margin. 40 minutes are on the clock. Kirchhoffer, third gear, fights the car into paddock. Really does have to fight it, and that just gives a slight advantage to Jewiss on the climb up the hill. On the far left there was Morgan Tilbrook, who's done his stint in the McLaren. That's Hugo Cook, who's third.
He looked knackered, didn't he? I'm not surprised, because where that car's set up, it's set up for a pro with Kirchhoffer. He's got the rotation he wants from it, and maybe that's hurting Tilbrook a bit. Here we are on board with the Lamborghini, third place. The car we've been riding on board with most recently, Kirchhoffer, is the car in front. He's tucked up behind the Mercedes. We've got 4 different manufacturers inside the top 4. The Lamborghini looking a lot more compliant. The Barwell car, normally more AM-friendly, a bit more understeer. The front axle, the one that doesn't give the grip, and that's easier to control for the amateur driver, but normally slower for the pro, and that's always the balance.
The Bridger Motorsport team that operates the Honda summoned to the stewards. They were having their pit stop looked at. It's not the time. It may have been something in the procedure. As you see Cook go by with Johnny Adams still 2.4 seconds back. Johnny is finding hundreds, but not massive chunks of time. Try as he might. So up front, half a second between Jewiss and Kirchhoffer as they come out of Stirling's once again. That's Giacomo Petrobelli on the far right with the headset on, looking at Johnny's lap times, looking at all the data, and then looking at himself as the picture pops up on the screen. Over the line, there are the leaders. Cian Jewiss, who has been absolutely unflappable in races this year under pressure from factory drivers such as Maxi Gertz, his teammate. Now he's going to have to face Marvin Kirchhoffer, but Jewiss, like I say, he's been so solid in earlier races that the problem he's got is the traffic. On the right you can see the championship situation as we stand, but more importantly the race drama is on, because Jewiss has got to pick his way through the back markers. He's on the outside line into Graham Hill Bend. Kirchhoffer needs to get up on the inside, and actually Jewiss got a better run there. It was Kirchhoffer who was slightly delayed.
That was brave stuff from Jewiss to go round the outside there. You can see how much time it gained him, and actually the BMW in front's going to help him if anything. Kirchhoffer, unfortunately for him, that was the biggest gap he had to do at the start of this lap, so he wasn't close enough. Someone that is close enough is Muller, who's down the inside of the Aston Martin of Wood, and he's had a mega opening stint in that 66 Team Parker Porsche.
We know that Sven Muller is good, and he has been a real asset to the championship this year. I know it's been a tough season for him, for Nick Jones, for Team Parker Racing, but Sven Muller is just an absolute standout in a Porsche. Now look, Hugo Cook is getting closer, isn't he, to the 2 leaders. Kirchhoffer, having dropped back slightly in the traffic, has got to regroup, but Hugo Cook, who in fairness is somebody else that has come on leaps and bounds over the course of the season. He goes through the most recent dust storm there, kicked up by Marvin Kirchhoffer, and he's certainly closing. You can see the top 2 leaving nothing on the table.
Really not. They've got one more GT4 car to catch. That lead Optimum car in GT4, the 17 car, is a long way ahead.
Car 69 has a drive-through penalty. Car 69, drive-through penalty for a pit stop infringement.
69 is
refueling.
69 is Blake Anglis in the Ginetta. So a penalty for the Ginetta, as there is number 1. That's the Rob Collard. Now Hugo Cook Lamborghini running currently in 3rd, trying to close on the leaders and being caught slightly by Johnny Adam in 4th place.
Yeah, that's gutting for the 3rd GT4 place car, the 69 car, 2nd class, 3rd overall. They will get that drive through. They will drop 25 seconds or so, and at the moment they're only 18 seconds ahead of Chris Elkout, so they will lose that overall podium position at the moment.
Johnny Adam thunders by in number 7, Aston Martin. That's the lead situation. So it was 8-10 last time over the line. But the one to watch now is increasingly Hugo Cook. They are starting to concertina. It is just over 5 seconds, 1st to 4th, with 36 minutes to go.
Yeah, last lap the leader lost a second on their average best lap there with the traffic, and that's allowed Cook, who only lost 0.3 there. So the gap now 1.6 back to this car, now 2.5 seconds. So like we thought, the top four all starting to concertina up. Kirchhofer has lost that sort of impetus he had of pace, I feel, and that is just following in the dirty air. Why does it do that? Well, you just lose aerodynamic grip, so you have to rely on the mechanical grip, which then eventually overworks the tyre, and then you lose the advantage you did have.
Johnny Adam is on his second track limit warning, and it's at Graham Hill Bend, so that's evidence of how hard they're pushing. Into the pit lane for the drive-through comes Blake Anglis. The car moved ever so slightly while it was being refueled. That's against the regulations. It has to be absolutely stock still. That's why it's copped the drive-through. There is Maxi Goetz in 11th place. And as I say, I know the car had that 20 seconds extra to serve in the pits, but by leaving Kevin Say out for as long as they did, he was losing time per lap, and that has contributed to why the car has dropped down. It was going to drop down anyway, granted, but not quite as much as it did.
No, and it's going to be a hard battle at the moment, because there's no real chance for this car, I don't think, to get past the McLarens in front. They're doing a similar pace. McLaren's good around here. Marcus Clutton, we know how aggressive he is. We saw it at Snetterton earlier in the year, and probably owe Marcus an apology, because at the time I called it, I thought...
Car 86 has a drive-through penalty. Car 86 drive-through penalty. Too many people over the line in the pit stop.
Peter Daly nicely cutting off my apologies, so I'll leave it there. Interestingly, with the 86, once that does its drive-through, it's going to drop pretty close to our overall race leaders. That could be a potential issue as Muller tries to get down the inside here of Plowman. They're both going to be compromised here. Tom Wood too far back to pounce on that, but all getting a lot of dirt on their tyres. These cars are going to start to feel quite different as they start to get dirtier and dirtier on the tyres, and they're doing that because so many people are running wide.
We could be on for Optimum if Marvin Kirchhofer can get the lead of the race for the same team to win GT3 and GT4. The last time that happened was back in 2016 when Ikuria Kos did it at Donington. That was also with McLaren's from memory, but Optimum edging towards doing that. It's Marvin Kirchhofer that can make it happen, and he is closing again on Jewiss. It was 8/10, it's now back down to 7/10 of a second, so this could be quite a day for Optimum. As there, Martin Plowman versus Sven Muller ran nose to tail coming on to Cooper Straight, 5th and 6th, and Muller feints to the inside line. Every possible opportunity to unsettle Plowman he tries to take.
Yeah, and at the moment he hasn't got an overrun of speed at any particular corner, so he's probably just having a look every now and again just to try and see if I did send it a bit harder, could I get it stopped, could I avoid contact? And that sort of mental game you play with yourself suddenly distorts towards the end of the race where you go, I might make contact, but it'll probably be okay when you run out of effort of trying to keep it clean.
And ran out of ideas of how to get past, yeah. So up the hill towards Sheen Curve, then goes Martin Plowman, right on his tail Sven Muller. Tom Wood edging back towards them. The lead gap, as I say, is 7/10 of a second. Now, what started as being the best part of 50 minutes of challenge for Marvin Kirchhofer is now down to just under 33. So he needs to keep pushing. He needs to find some time from somewhere as the leaders go by. Cook still third, Johnny Adam fourth. The gap first to fourth is coming down as well. Johnny Adam now 4.6 seconds off the race lead, so they are starting to concertina a little bit more noticeably, and that's Kian Jewiss. He only has to win the race by 1,000th of a second as long as he wins it, and Marvin Kirchhofer there in second spot, coming to the end of the first sector, in which he's fractionally slower than the Mercedes AMG up the road.
Yeah, tyres getting dirtier on the tyre wall as well on that McLaren, so he's obviously running wider and wider in pursuit of lap time, so getting more and more desperate. That NXX still hasn't driven through pit lane for its pit stop penalty, so that still could be a factor in my opinion in these leaders if Bridger gets out and then maybe doesn't see the blue flags and could hold up our race leader of Jewiss aboard the 2Cs car.
Through they turn once more then, making that climb up through Sheen Curve. There is Hugo Cook. Marvin Kirchhofer there, second. He's done the fastest lap of the race, but he needs a few more good laps to get himself back onto the tail of Kian Jewiss. Now, as those cars come down towards Clark Curve, we are looking at the Honda coming down the pit lane, but there are very, very few back markers up the road. In other words, Kirchhofer now can't rely on the traffic, maybe other than this car, getting in the way. He's going to have to do it on pure pace. They've cleared the Honda, so in other words, it is a clear road ahead of them for about a third of a lap. So no back markers to get in the way, or indeed offer an opportunity to Kirchhofer. He has got to do this all by himself.
Yeah, I think Kirchhofer here will probably just be doing a bit of a regroup, maybe looking after the tyres slightly more, and then look to mount an attack at the same point as they catch those GT4 cars you're talking about, David. And that will be teamwork with the Optimum team, just saying about how many laps it will be there, because he's kind of caught up. He's tried to overtake on raw pace. That hasn't worked. So I think Insanity is trying to do the same thing and get a different result, right? And that's at the moment happening for them. So I think that's their best shot in the next 7 to 8 laps when they catch the GT4s, is to time it there. Bridger doing a good job of getting out of the way of Johnny Adam,
who is still fourth. Number 7, Aston Martin. Johnny Adam, the Scotsman, goes by. Le Mans class winner, remember, for Aston Martin. He's been a loyal servant of the brand, had great results. He'd love to get back on a World Endurance Championship grid, but it has been in Britain, a very happy hunting ground too for him, and now the driver with the most wins in the championship's history to his name. He took that 20th win that had been tantalisingly close for so long at Spa back in the summer. There's the lead gap, which to the eye looks less. Sector 1 quicker was Jewiss, Sector 2 quicker was Jewiss, but by the end of the lap the gap looked to have been down. Morgan Tilbrook though shakes his head and pulls a face and says no, I don't think it is, and it's 8 tenths as they come across the line. It just looks they came under the bridge as though Kirchhofer was on a mission. Well, he may be, but Jewiss yet again rock solid in the lead.
Yeah, Tilbrook directly disagreeing with your statement there, David. And Jeff, yeah, exactly. He's not wrong either. Jeff Harding, the number 1 mechanic, there's been with Tilbrook a long time, and again, that's where a good team work together. It isn't just the drivers, it isn't just the engineers, it isn't just the team owner, the whole team. If you can have a number 1 mechanic that you can trust and confide in, it can find some performance, and that's what Morgan Tilbrook's trying to do. He's been trying this British GT assault for so long, and now he's in the hunt. I feel like he's trying to overdrive, and he's been so close. We're looking now back at the GT4 Optimum car. Muller to the inside to Plowman again. We said it was a move lined up, and I said about contact potentially getting riskier towards the end of the race. Turns out I was right, and I think Kajal is going to get past Muller.
Yeah, he is indeed. Sven Muller then on the inside. He's tapped Martin Plowman into a spin. Now, if Plowman can't get going, this is exactly what the leader did not need. There's damage on the Porsche. There's also damage to Kuyla, and I think he's gone over some debris, hasn't he? Because he wasn't involved in the contact, but something has happened. He nipped through, and he's actually picked up some damage. As you can see, he's got Marcus Clutton, the driver from Oldham, clambering all over the back. So Barwell will be looking at this, and that's Muller who's gone straight on at the end of the straight at Hawthorns. We're going to end up with a yellow, come what may. Kuyla's heading for the pit lane. If he gets that far, because a tyre may well have gone down or he can't turn, he's in the gravel as you see. That's at Sheen Curve. He keeps on digging. I think the tyre may have gone bang. Then he ran over some damage, some debris. It's wobbly, it's flapping, and it's low. So a tyre has gone on 78. He's run over some debris on the road. That's done for him. And Sven Muller has picked up enough damage to be off the road at Hawthorn. So all of a sudden, the race is turned upside down here at Brands Hatch.
It kills the championship for the teammate of Kajaya there, Alex Martin. It was always going to be on an outside chance. Sven Muller, I think, is 100% to blame there. It's too late, too much of a lunge, a diminishing gap on the inside of Plowman. We say how aggressive he is.
And he's triggering a full course yellow. Sven Muller out of the car, Kuyla into the pits. Tar smoke billowing off that destroyed Pirelli. Full course yellow is being called. I think Martin Plowman has actually got going again. We'll double check. But into the pit lane comes Patrick Kuyla. Full course yellow is called. That is Sven Muller out of the race, and it's his car in the gravel that needs removing. Full course yellow.
Yeah, the flames on the back of the Plowman car was just the overrun out the turbo, so that is relatively normal. Here we see the Barwell car trudging down pit lane. Expect once it goes in the air, that front left tyre creating all the smoke, the mechanic will go over. It will give it a wobble first, and I think that is day done. I think that's more than a puncher. I think it's done the track rod control arm personally. They're going to put a tyre on it, are they not? And they're looking at it quickly, but yeah, it'd be amazing to know the component he hit to break the car like that. It must have been something relatively substantial, but I think they've got damage to the suspension on that car, not just a puncher.
Okay, we'll wait and see. I mean, yeah, if it were just a tyre, it'd be on by now. They'd be back in the race. There, lots of big bits being kicked and cleared by the marshals, rapidly onto the circuit to try and clear that as soon as, and the team still concerned about 78. Right, we are not under a safety car. It's a full course yellow. There's the new tyre going on, so they've had a good look. They're happy.
Yeah, well, they'll be telling the team will be telling them you need to get it out to stay on the lead lap, because this is the race leader, and it's already too late for that. So that's lap down. done? It's going to be tight. Yeah, he is. By the time he gets there, he's going to be all the way behind Hugo Cook in that gap there. I still think that car's got suspension damage.
Yeah.
Let's have a look as he turns into Paddock Hill. It could have been the tyre deflecting around, but Kajai, you can see him soaring at the wheel trying to work out, is the car okay? It's turned in okay 80 kilometres an hour. Let's see.
So it drops off the lead lap, and you don't get the benefit of a wave by in GT3, only in GT4 if you're a lap down. So Patrick Kuehler with the time lost coming into the pit lane, and there is Johnny Adam. So the fourth place Aston Martin goes through Druids. Let's have another look. Sven Muller in the blue Porsche. It's a late dive to the inside. He's never fully alongside.
No, he rolls off the brake trying to get there. He's got front right suspension damage. Let's then look for Martin. He runs over a big piece of bodywork right there. It looked lush like bodywork, and I can't see anything. I can only imagine it's been scooped up into the wheel arch and then caused some damage to the tyre, obviously, but still not sure about the suspension damage. I've had exactly the same thing happen to me in a Barwell Lamborghini at Spa 24 hours. That much smoke, going through a Rouge and getting on the radio, Mark Lemmer telling me it's fine, and I'm saying, Mark, I look like the red arrows here, and yeah, suspension damage.
So the Porsche out of the race as well, and Patrick Kuehler suddenly with the car not wanting to turn at Sheen Curve. He got round Westfield okay, but as the lap continued, couldn't make this corner.
It was later on in this replay we saw what I thought was the front left suspension jolting around like it wasn't in control with the steering rack, but great super slow-mo there for everyone apart from Barwell. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a slow recovery for the Porsche as well where it is, because it's deep in the gravel.
Yeah, that couldn't turn. You understand it's a broken wheel in the contact, so that's why it didn't turn. That's why it's ended up in the gravel. And the longer the full course yellow, the more likely it is that we end up with safety car. So this is good news potentially for Marvin Kirchhofer. The safety car will eventually be deployed. 88 there, pretending to be the leader outright, is going through Joe Wheeler, but eventually, I think the safety car is on track already. That will be allowed to get ahead of the outright race leader, and we will potentially have this wave by within GT4. We'll worry about that if it is required. So Kean Jewiss leads the way. We've got 24 minutes of the race still to go. What this really does give you is a real mad dash to the flag, doesn't it? By the time the road is clear, by the time the order is confirmed, we're not going to have many racing minutes left, and the pressure is really going to be on Kean Jewiss to defend, Marvin Kirchhofer to attack.
Yeah, exactly that. Where do we think Kirchhofer's strong? He looked very quick in sector 1. Turn 2 is the easiest overtaking of the lap because it's the biggest brake zone for this lap.
Up towards the timing line then comes Kean Jewiss. We're at this 80 kilometres an hour delta speed under the full course yellow. No overtaking. There's the safety car, allowed to go faster, and that will now position itself at the head of the line. So on instruction from the race director, we will go to safety car conditions, but that is unlikely to happen until the Porsche is in a safe place, because you don't want to have cars going faster while you've got marshals working trackside. But there is the safety car then ahead of everybody. Ultimately, the Ginetta needs to be allowed by as well. Let us then head to the pit lane, because we were looking at that Barwell pit stop for Patrick Kuehler. We wondered whether it was a tyre or anything more sinister. Bryn has news.
Indeed, but first of all, it was a dejected looking Alex down there, just watching on at the time. But I was talking to Mark Lemmer, asking about the damage to the car. He said there is no suspension damage that they can see at all. They had to pull some gravel out and some mess out from that wheel area, but they say it was just a puncture, no suspension damage. So Joe, hopefully it's the different story to yours.
Well, fingers crossed. It looks okay.
Yeah, my question, why did they take so long then? Why did they lose the lap? I know Bryn's saying they were pulling things out. I didn't see that.
Just double checking? You'd rather be safe than sorry?
As a driver, I would have rather they checked it before they took the old wheel off, bolted a new one and just sent me. And that's, for me, a rare mistake from Barwell. Yes, you've got to be cautious, safety first, but as a driver, safety second sometimes in a chance of a result. But yeah, this sad sight of the 66 Team Parker Porsche getting pulled out the way.
And once it's out of the gravel, then it can go onto the flatbed. Into the pit lane comes Martin Plowman. He was the one that was hit, and he's got a new set of, well, in fact, 2 new tyres going on. One front, and now they do the other corners. So new tyres going onto Martin Plowman's car. They're trying to keep him on the lead lap, but I think they're about to lose that. No, he might be okay actually to stay on the lead lap looking at this. So the McLaren drops down. As long as the lights at the end of the pit lane go green for him, he'll be okay. And when the safety car comes out, play catch up. And on new tyres, that's going to be quite interesting to see what ground can be made up. Good roll of the dice there, taking a real negative and trying to make it as positive as can be. He's going to be on the fresher rubber of anybody, and by being on the lead lap, he's taking advantage of the expected safety car period to catch back up and then make some progress against cars on older rubber.
Yeah, my only worry is the only tyres they should have available in terms of strategy is the first stint tyres of Mark Smith. So yeah, I'm not sure how much fresher they will be. Similar time, maybe less energy put through them in an AM versus a Pro, but yeah, and a lot of back markers as well, but nothing to lose. And hopefully we can get this car on the flatbed and give us at least what would be realistic, maybe 14 minutes of green flag racing.
Yeah, it's got to get on the flatbed, and then Peter Daly will decide whether he wants it behind the barriers at Westfield out of harm's way quickly, or bring it back to the pit lane, which will be another lap or so, so he'll make that call. This is how we stand in the championship on screen. It's 155.5 points with a race to go at Donington. Charles Dawson, Cian Jewiss, the leaders from Giacomo Petrobelli and Johnny Adam. And they are tied on points with Morgan Tilbrook and Marvin Kirchhofer, but Adam and Petrobelli are credited with being second on the tie-break because they've had a race win. Morgan and Marvin have not yet. And of course, this could all change if that McLaren finds its way through into the race lead. The incident between Plowman and Sven Muller, to nobody's surprise, is under investigation.
Yeah, just looking down the order, Clutton in 6th has had a very good stint because he took over from Simon Orange well outside the top 10. I believe they were in 12th before the pit stops finally took place. So that's been a mega drive from Clutton there.
Just thinking, as Martin Plowman drives past the Porsche, being hoiked out of the gravel and says, ha, or fingers to that effect, goes through. The team manager, though, of Marcus Clutton's car is now being summoned to the stewards. So you talk about what a good stint, and all of a sudden, the stewards want to have a word with the team manager for a possible infringement. We'll also, no doubt, have news on the Porsche and McLaren incident, but there's not much you can do by way of penalty to the Porsche if it's already out of the race. There, number 71 is the car that is currently second in GT4, Charlie Robertson at the wheel. He's over 31 seconds back from Luca Hopkinson in number 17 McLaren, but a safety car would really help. It might not get him onto the back of the McLaren, but it would certainly get him a lot closer, and the safety car is on the circuit, so we know we're going to go to a safety car. There is your GT4 leader.
Yeah, there's no one in between this 17 and that Robertson BMW, so it will be a nose-to-tail restart. And these are probably the biggest losers. Again, hand out the window. We saw it for Harry George earlier. This time, Hopkinson trying to get some fresh air. You can basically make a cup with your hand to divert fresh air to your face. And I was involved in the development of this car. I did a 30-hour test at Portimao, and during a stint, you'd be doing it down the straight. It gets seriously warm in these cars, and any respite you can get is a big, big help.
So the safety car needs to let that Ginetta through once we go to safety car conditions. And Joe Wheeler is going to have a busy time trying to play catch-up. There is the sorry sight of Sven Muller's Porsche, then on the back of the flatbed, and that will now be taken off the circuit as rapidly as, so we can get things not underway, but the next part of the process is to go safety car to get the order sorted out. But we may well be having the wave by here to put GT4 cars, if they are off the lead lap, back onto the lead lap, if it's appropriate. We'll wait and see if the race director needs to do that.
Yeah, they've got the Ginetta, haven't they, to get out of the way, so kind of get them to speed up and then pick up the race leader.
Yeah, I think all the surviving GT4 cars are on the same lap, actually, so I don't think we're going to need a wave by once they let the car of Joe Wheeler go through. That's the current GT4 Championship leading BMW with a race to go at Donington. Javier Ramillid and Charlie Robertson, they are now ahead, taking full advantage of the disappointment for Mark Warren on the opening lap of the race as well.
That was caused with contact with that car, not malicious, in my opinion, and race control agreed as well. Yeah, there's the only Ginetta. That's the problem. That will just speed up and the safety car will just physically wave it round. At least it doesn't have to jink out and get round any of these GT3s.
I was going to say this is all good news for Johnny Adam. It should be, in as much as he'll be closer to the cars ahead, but he's also got to get past the lapped Patrick Kujala. Kujala there can act as a sort of protector, can't he, for Hugo Cook in third place. There is Giacomo Petrobelli looking on from the pit lane. The fourth placed Aston Martin goes now up towards Druid. So it is Kian Jewiss, the race leader, Marvin Kirchhofer second, Hugo Cook third. The Porsche is about to be taken off the circuit. The Ginetta that caught fire early on, Jack Mitchell's car, is parked behind the barrier up at Westfield. If there's space for another one, that could be a good parking point, and then we can get the safety car and the speeds can increase.
Yeah, hopefully he pulls left here, like you're saying, David, and doesn't have to do the remaining part of the lap. And yeah, then we've got a good chance of well over 10 minutes of green flag racing. There's the safety car. There's the Ginetta. We just need to let go on its way. At the moment, everyone's stuck at 80 kilometers an hour. Drivers, interestingly, not weaving whatsoever. They may be just running their left foot on the brake at the same time as accelerating to keep the brake temps up. But I'm surprised that no one is weaving. Everyone obviously seems to be on the other side of the tyres. Kirchhofer there can see his tyre pressures down at 1.3 bar. You know, it's a hobby of mine, David. They should be at 1.6 to 1.8 bar.
They are thinking that.
It's a huge amount of energy he's going to have to put in. But at the moment, maybe he's thinking they went over pressure during a stint, and now I'm going to actually go under target to get the average right for the remaining 12 minutes. Interesting stuff.
Every man's got to have a hobby. So the race leaders are currently on lap number 59, turning out of Westfield, and the safety car very shortly will put the lights on and safety car conditions will apply, but they do need to let that Ginetta escape first of all. Peter David, a race director, looking at all of this, working out when that Ginetta can be let through safely and swiftly. And this is the view from on board Hugo Cook, then the man from near Northwich in Cheshire, not far from Alton Park.
Safety car procedure. All cars accelerate to catch the safety car. Safety car remain at 80k to give them a chance. Car 88, wave by. Car 88, wave by.
Right, so car 88 is allowed to pass the safety car to put itself back onto the same lap as the GT4 class opposition. So 88 is allowed to do the wave by, and that Ginetta will do that at the appropriate part of the circuit, which is here. So through it goes. Kian Jewiss, the race leader. Now the weaving comes, because they know that with the safety car conditions being instigated, we're not far from the resumption of the race. That's where you need to get the pressures up. That's where you need to get the temperatures back up. And the one that's out of sequence, just look in the queue, the fourth place Lamborghini, which is about to creep into picture. Patrick Kujala ahead of Johnny Adam, and he might be a thorn in the side of the Aston for a lap or two, just to let Hugo Cook get away. Otherwise, Johnny Adam will be on his toes to make some progress. And Marvin Kirchhofer on that restart, he's got to be the man to watch to see what he can do about Kian Jewiss. We've got 14 minutes of the race still to go as Hugo Cook gets all sideways. Marvin Kirchhofer does not have that many opportunities, does he? So he's got to make a good restart. Yeah, the driver's turning the traction control fully off there. You can see them lighting up. We had a lovely tight shot of Kirchhofer doing it into the last corner, and they're really now trying to generate some surface temp into the tyre, which will naturally build up the tyre pressure that I'm so passionate about there. And I'm just starting to think, where's Kujala's head at? He's a gun for hire. He'll want to make Barwell happy. Morally, he'll want to get out of the way of Johnny Adam, because that's what he should do. But I think you're right. I think he's going to act as a rear gunner to at least allow Hugo Cook a lap and a half potentially to attack forwards, and then I think we'll see him get out of the way and do the right thing and not hold up this car we're riding on board with at the moment, Johnny Adam, who is in fourth place and is 4.5 seconds off the lead, and were it not for that drive-through penalty, would be in the lead. That number 71 BMW was over half a minute back second in class. It is now just under 7 seconds back second in class. So not only do we have a lead battle to worry about in GT3, all of a sudden we've got one in GT4 that we didn't have before this safety car period.
Yeah, shows you how quickly your fortunes can change, positive or negative, of course, depending on who you're rooting for. But this is important for the championship. The more points they can gain ahead of the DNFing 90 car of Mark Warren will massively help their Donington Park, the last round of this championship.
So when the lights go out on top of that safety car, we know that we're going to be in business, ready to get things back underway. Kian Jewiss then, we're not expecting it to be this lap, but the next one possibly. Kian Jewiss, the race leader, ahead of Marvin Kirchhofer. 11 tenths was the gap between them when they came across the line last time, but it's an academic gap given that we are under the safety car like this. Out of Stirling's they come then, so the Mercedes ahead of the McLaren, ahead of the Lamborghini. Different brands then in the top 4, because you've got the Aston of Johnny Adam in 4th place. Another Aston 5th is Tom Wood. McLaren 6th, Marcus Clutton. And down they come then towards Clearways, towards Clark Curve. And we expect one more lap behind the safety car.
Yeah, Marvin Kirchhoffer's teammate Tilbert there looking on. Peter Daly being very fair. This extra safety car lap, yes, for tyre temp, is also going to allow that Mahiki 88 car to get up. So we're going to have all cars ready to go at the end of this lap. Expect safety car in this lap.
And in fairness, Joe Wheeler has done the right thing. He's really pushed. We can see on our tracker map how much closer he's getting.
Safety car, increase your speed. The safety car in this lap. Safety car, increase your speed.
So one fast lap behind the safety car. Lorna Vickers, the safety car driver. Lorna Daly now, she is being told to get faster and faster behind the wheel of the Lotus safety car. 60 laps are in the book. Only 11.5 minutes on the clock. It's going to be a real frantic dash to the end. Is this the part of the race when I say safety cars breed safety cars?
Yeah, you're normally annoyingly right with that one as well. But what a brave man. Peter Daly, our race director, you're hearing on the commentary talking to his wife in the safety car to speed up. Whenever I've done that, it's not ended as well. And it's a seriously quick car.
Peter's wife.
I won't comment on that. But seriously quick, that Lotus. I drove it as part of a feature for British GT a couple of years ago. Nearly lobbed it off at turn 1. I approached so much faster than I was expecting. So Lorna Vickers doing a good job allowing these drivers to get tyre temperatures up. Marvin now more in the window, 1.5 bar. You can see on the dash, the green boxes mean tyre pressure okay, blue meaning cold. So he's still working. Where's he going to send it? Are we going to see a lunge into turn 1 straight out the box? That man there on the right, Morgan Tilbrook, told me it was win or bin. Does that translate off him into Marvin Kirchhoffer?
Absolutely. We'll find out very shortly then as the cars come into Westfield. It's going to be just under 10 minutes, isn't it, when we get back to racing. The safety car accelerates up towards Sheen Curve. Kean Jewiss, the race leader, Marvin Kirchhoffer behind. It's going to be a tense situation at 2Cs as well, where Charles Dawson's going to be watching on, hoping his co-driver can defend. Kean Jewiss rock solid so far in his stint. They're about to come then now down towards Sheen Curve, Stirling section of the circuit. Kean Jewiss weaving around in front of Marvin Kirchhoffer, who is not going to be intimidated by that. But where does the Mercedes AMG accelerate? We're about to find out then. It is now as they accelerate out of Stirling's. He gets the drop by a length. So it's a good restart by Jewiss. And Marvin Kirchhoffer is going to have to be really, really brave coming through Clark Curve to have a go, going up towards Paddock Hill Bend. We're back to green flag conditions. Just under 10 minutes are on the clock. They're coming up towards the timing line. Kean Jewiss leads the way. This is the end of lap number 61. Green again, down towards Paddock. He's not close enough to make a move, and Johnny Adam is not able to make a move either, as they're up the inside to put a lap on the Honda and to secure silver am honours most definitely. Tom Wood, leaders nose to tail, 3 for the lead up at Druids.
It was a great restart. Clutton trying to get down the inside of Bridger as well, who is an outlier contact there. Clutton always seems to find someone to rub up, gets the job done. He's trying to escape the Mercedes behind, and it was the race leading Mercedes, I think, did a great job at the restart, slowed it right down to a point where I think the turbos were out of spool there, and I think he knew he had a naturally aspirated V8 against a turbo V8 in that McLaren, and Kirchhoff was having to be in first gear, and that isn't the gear for a restart. Because it was so slow, it was his only option.
So the gap when they came over the stripe was just over 0.3 of a second. There are the 3 leaders, and Marvin Kirchhoffer now has absolutely nothing to lose. Kean Jewiss, twice a winner this season in his first season of British GT, his first season of driving the Mercedes for 2Cs, and after doing 1 race event only last year, it's just good to have him back racing. The former Carrera Cup GB champion comes down towards Stirling's. You've got Patrick Couiller pretending to be 4th, and Johnny Adam unable to get past him and therefore make progress after Hugo Cook. The Aston, if anything, has dropped back a little bit on the resumption of the race. So it's these 3 that we concentrate on. The bad news for Kirchhoffer, apart from not getting past Jewiss yet, is that Cook is close enough to be a distraction as well.
Yeah, Adam can't stay with Cajallo in that, so that's not really been a story we thought it might be. Yeah, Cook and Kirchhoffer definitely the quickest 2 in the top 3. Cook going in deep there, that's going to lose him a bit of time. They've all got some track limits if they need to use it up as well. 8 minutes remaining. They want to make sure they finish not with a single life. Clutton, look at the pace he's got. He's caught Wood up very quickly on that last lap, couple of tenths quicker, and I just don't think Kirchhoffer seems to have the pace he had at the start of this stint now.
And the other one that's made some progress is Maxi Goertz, up to 7th, and he's not far behind Clutton either, so Goertz might be able to get himself into the top 6 by the end of the race, which is now 8 minutes away. Leaders go down towards Hawthorns, lap 63. Kean Jewiss then looks as though he's sorted out Marvin Kirchhoffer, and if he does stand his ground in the lead for another 7.5 minutes, it is yet another illustration of just how how good Kean Jewiss has been this year. In GT4, the gap has widened again. This is Luca Hopkinson pulling away from Charlie Robertson. The gap was down on the resumption of the race, but that McLaren has stretched it once more. Remember, 5 kilos lighter today than yesterday, an adjustment to the car's specification under the regulations, and it certainly helps a little.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Phil Keane has had a strong stint to get that car up to an overall podium as well. Yeah. The 69 Ginetta behind, obviously losing out with the drive-through penalty for a pit stop infringement. Joe Wheeler here down in third in his class in Pro-Am GT4. And this looks like it's going to be now 12 races in GT4, the last 12 that have been won by either Optimum or Century Motorsport. Just looking at the pace of Phil Keane, has he got anything to do about this BMW? The last lap slightly slower, but now he's getting some green sectors aboard that silver Mercedes run by Team Parker. But I think Robertson at the moment probably realised he hasn't got the pace to take it to Hopkinson, so he's just going to be kind of stroking it home. Perversely as that sounds, you would sit in this car and think he's trying to kill you if you were sat in the passenger seat, but he's just able to sort of drive at a pace maybe even 2 or 3 tenths off Ultima, because there's no point pushing to a point where you're potentially going to lose a good second place finish as we go into this GT3 battle between our two hard chargers of the stint. Gertz in that Mercedes against Clutton in the McLaren in front on the back of Wood, who's caught Johnny Adam. He's really had no pace since the restart. Used 2 sets of tyres in qualifying. I think he's on the oldest tyre out of this grid.
Yeah, he's struggling, isn't he? The other one to keep an eye on is Martin Plowman, who we saw going on to a new set of tyres, or a different set of tyres, let's say, and to see what progress he can make before the end. But yeah, Johnny Adam is now going to have them all stacked up behind. So Marcus Clutton kicks up the dirt into the face of Maxi Gertz, who's got Callum McLeod behind him, and down towards Clearways they come. The clock's got just under 6 minutes on it. Kean Jewiss trying to build that gap once more. There is McLeod in the green McLaren. That's Maxi Gertz then, the car that led briefly early on. 7th it runs at the moment as Johnny Adam comes over the line. Now, of course, from his point of view, it is damage limitation. He's just got to hang on in there for as many points as possible to keep them in the shout at Donington.
Yeah, I worry he's got a problem. He's a second a lap off the leaders. It wasn't that before the restart. Have his tyres just gone and he can't turn them back on? The older the tyre, the harder they get, the harder it is to reignite them effectively to get the grip. Seems okay now. Wood will want to get Johnny Adam. That is a scalp you want as a young silver-graded driver to take it to one of arguably Aston Martin's most successful GT drivers. He will want to get past that sister Aston Martin.
In GT4, Luca Hopkinson here is still leading. And last time around, the gap to Charlie Robertson was 1.9 seconds. Charlie is still hustling on as Harry George, who did the opening stint in the McLaren there, looks on. This could be a first win of the season for them. They've had every sort of bad luck going. I won't bother telling you all about it because we've only got 4 minutes of the race to go and I've run out of race time. But they've had so much bad luck. A win would be so welcome. And also, it would be the first driver crew to win other than Warren and Brown that we lost early on. And these two, Ramid and Robertson, at the BMW, 1.9 seconds back at the start of this lap. And it looks like we're going to have a new story in GT4.
Yep, silver class winner as well, because it's been dominated by Pro-Am, and we're going to get a Pro-Am overall champion in GT4 for the first time as well. So that's a huge turning in the dynamic of GT4. It's a class that's been so strong historically in British GT. 2 classes, hard to balance, but it's been done well in previous years by SRO. Now Pro-Am seems to be the one to be in.
Yeah, the silvers, just in case you're new to GT and the nomenclature is confusing, the silvers are effectively your young guns. So you've got in the Silver Cup cars 2 young career-focused drivers, whereas Pro-Am has a sort of businessman racer, if you like, and one of your young guns, a gun for hire, and that's how you balance the two. But because you've got 2 silvers, the theory is they're quicker than a Pro-Am car, and they carry that extra time in the pits. This is Kirchhofer, second in the race, 7 tenths back, 3.5 minutes on the clock. I'm sad to say for the McLaren fans, I can't see that car getting the race lead.
No, 2 laps to go after this one, and it's not looking likely, is it? And Dawson, their teammate of Jewiss in the car, started 6th on the grid. They've had a mega run. They were confident on the grid. Never have we had that Mercedes win around here at Brands Hatch. At the moment, that looks like it's going to be changed.
Yeah, we've never had a win out of Marvin Kirchhofer in British GT, and that's going to have to wait as well, seemingly, because up towards the end of the lap number 66, comes Kean Jewiss in the lead of the race then. This is the view from on board with Hugo Cook, who again, a bit like Marvin Kirchhofer, is close, but then because of the aero of the cars, unable to really strike. So he wants a mistake out of the McLaren driver. That's not likely to happen. Kirchhofer goes across the line 8/10 back, and he just can't find a way to dislodge Jewiss, who is like a massive sponge. Any amount of pressure, he just soaks up.
Yeah, metronomic with his lines, with his lap times. Cook, I've been very impressed with his pace as well to stick with the lead too. He seems to have got stronger as the season's gone on as well, in my opinion. Another young, strong British driver coming through the ranks, and the 2Cs team will be looking happy at the moment. Optimum will be content with this, and it keeps them in the championship hunt, but it hasn't worked out exactly how they wanted. 2Cs, however, are looking very strong for the championship. Team principal Nick Cristofaro having a child last week. This will be the second best present he's had of the month.
So they're going through Hugo Cook third place as the race leaders drop once more down through that right of Westfield. And Cian Jewiss, quick check in the mirror, sees where Marvin Kirchhofer is, but he's very much in control now. Quicker in sector 1, he's coming up to the end of sector 2. Charles Dawson wants to watch the race, but he has to look at himself on screen as well, and I think eventually he's going to walk away from all of this. He's had enough of being filmed. He wants to see his teammate home for the last couple of laps. Tense times, not only for the race win, but to try and stretch the margin in the championship with another 2-hour race at Donington still to come.
Yeah, and it's super tight further down the field as well. Johnny Adam has still got a huge pack of cars. They cross the line, 1 minute 22 seconds remaining. Last lap was a 1:24. This should be the last lap, but it is tight. Look at the oversteer there. What a catch from Jewish. Doing that 130 kilometers an hour on the last lap of the race. This hasn't been easy. That shows you how hard these drivers are working. Sometimes the outboard shot doesn't show what's going on, the true picture, and Jewish has had to work for this.
And again, fighting the car at Graham Hill Bend there, but he is on the last lap. So he comes now up towards 30s then, this long left, and it climbs as well as you come onto the Grand Prix circuit now. Onto the power, he's got Marvin Kirchhofer behind him, who looks fractionally closer, but we've been there before, and Cian Jewiss has been able to stretch the margin. It has been another fantastic drive by Cian Jewiss, and on this occasion, the pit stops and the compensation times has played right into their hands.
Yeah, just making sure when they come through this final sector, it will be the last lap. Jewiss's last sector through was actually his fastest of the race. Kirchhofer getting closer, and this gap is small. It's 0.8 of a second. Get your stopwatch out and stop 0.8. That's how quickly these cars are going. And Kirchhofer, one final Hail Mary. Has he got it? This will be the last lap by 2 seconds. There's one more corner to go.
Here they come to Clark Curve, and it's going to be win number 3 of the season then for Cian Jewiss and Charles Dawson. It's going to stretch the advantage in the championship, and it cements an excellent season by both drivers and 2Cs Motorsport. For the first time at Brands Hatch, a Mercedes AMG wins. Cian Jewiss brings it home. Charles Dawson and Cian Jewiss win for the 3rd time this season. It's a delighted Dawson. It's a happy 2Cs Motorsport team, and Charles Dawson and Cian Jewiss win by just under half a second from Marvin Kirchhofer, Hugo Cook 3rd. That's Johnny Adam 4th from Tom Wood, from Marcus Klassen, Maxi Gertz 7th, Callum McLeod 8th, Martin Plowman 9th, and here to win GT4 for the first time this season, Luca Hopkinson and a very nervous Harry George, who dare not breathe as he looks at the monitors. The car's still got a couple of corners to go. Bouncing it over the curb is Luca Hopkinson then. The McLaren, another out of the Optimum stable, but the first time this car has won all season, comes now out of Stirling's down towards the right-hander of Clark Curve, and for the team that have, as I say, had so much bad luck along the way, this will be a really welcome, popular result. Up towards the line they come, and so Harry George and Luca Hopkinson head up towards the timing line. Checkered flag and a first win in GT4 for Harry George, for Luca Hopkinson, and it's been a mixed day for Optimum, but a big round of applause because that is excellent news for the team.
Yeah, you can see Harry George there. Sean Goff, team owner of Optimum, big hug there. He's had to work hard to get that car back to reliability as well. So big team effort. Optimum running 4 cars. Sean Goff's son actually first race in car racing juniors this weekend as well. And the car's taking the shortcut here at Brands Hatch. Timetable so tight, they'll be sent straight to Parc Fermé.
They will indeed. So a great drive as ever by Cian Jewiss and Charles Dawson. People at the start of the season were talking about how good Charles was as the bronze graded driver, but take nothing away from Cian Jewiss because he has just been a standout this season against manufacturer pro drivers. Let's have a look then at the results with the classes in GT4. The win going the way of Luca Hopkinson and Harry George. GT3 to Cian Jewiss and Charles Dawson. Cian Jewiss and Charles Dawson, the outright winners by just under half a second from a charging Marvin Kirchhofer with Morgan Tilbrook. Hugo Cook 3rd with Rob Collard, ahead of Johnny Adam and Giacomo Petrobelli. And but for the drive-through, you know the rest of the sentence. Andrew Howard and Tom Wood 5th from Simon Orange and Marcus Clatton. 7th, Maxi Goetz and Kevin Say from Callum McLeod and John Kearney. And there in the Pot Ferme area, a very happy Charles Dawson, and Cian Jewiss brings it home. Barely a mistake, always looked under total control, an excellent job done. And if manufacturers, if teams are not paying attention to Cian Jewiss after this season, then they're in the wrong sport, because he has just been, every time he's been on track, impressive.
Yeah, massively so. And he's got such a good yardstick as well in the sister car of Maxi Goetz, Mercedes factory driver. He's been faster, the same. That race, he was within a 10th of his fastest lap. So I totally agree with that statement.
Well, it's another win, as I say, for Charles Dawson and Cian Jewiss. It helps for the championship. Bryn, they've done it again.
They certainly have done it again. They've increased their lead going into Donington Park. And before I say to you, that means you got maximum compensation time when it comes to the pit stop at Donny. What was that one like for you, Charles, watching on?
I think that's the start at the beginning. Was really happy to start. Jumped a couple of cars. Not really sure what happened, to be honest. But and then there was a bit of a lot of full course yellow safety car, which obviously backed some of the other guys back into the back. Struggled for pace after that. To be honest, he was really having to push to keep up with Kevin. And but we knew obviously they had time penalty, so we were kind of, you know, we weren't taking too many risks. And then obviously handed over to this man, and well, I mean, yeah, he's kept one of the top drivers in the world behind him for most of the race. So I can't commend him more.
Yeah, Marvin really pushed you the whole way. He seems to be closing up, and then there was the traffic to get through too.
Yeah, look, Charles won us the race at the start. We knew we were nowhere near pace-wise, and we had to have a bit of luck, and that's what we had. We had a great start from Charles. And we knew it was going to be close to Marvin, but to be honest, it's, you know, that's where they are. I like it when they're behind. They can you're just in control. I knew he was going to come at us quite fast on the new tyre. We struggle when the car's quite heavy on the fuel. But no, management-wise, it was nice. Yeah, look, let's see what happens at Donington. It's going to be tough.
Now, provisionally, though, I mean, you've got one fingernail on the trophy more than that, but you think provisionally 2 Cs have won the team's championship as well, so that's great for the team.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I mean, you know, they're one of the top teams around. I can't fault the job they do, all the guys. But look, at the end of the day, we've got a long way to go in Donington. See what happens to Maxi and Kevin today, P2 down to P11. You know, in the pit stop. So there's so much work to do, and we're just going to take the same approach corner by corner and then see what happens at the end of the Donington. So yeah.
Anything can happen. The decider has bitten many people, but hopefully for you guys that won't be the case. Well done today.
Cheers. Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And TSL, our timekeeping and points service, reckon that 2 Cs has done enough to secure the team's title, but there's a lot of number crunching going on. Cian Jewiss and Charles Dawson then race winners, 2 Cs provisional teams champions as well. Of course, it's points scored from not just this car, but the number 18 entry, the Maxi Goetz Kevin Say car as well. So a really good drive by Charles Dawson and Cian Jewiss, but for Harry George and Luca Hopkinson, a win in GT4. Bryn, at last, they've done it.
At last they've done it, and at last we have a different winner in GT4. Congratulations both.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it feels like a long time coming, to be fair. Yeah, what a weekend. Near enough a dream race for me, with the starting on the front row and bringing it home in P1 to Luca. But yeah, car was faultless, team were faultless. Can't thank Optimum enough for their incredible work this weekend, and yeah, just so happy.
It was a tricky, bitty race, wasn't it, Luca? Because every time it got going, there was a stoppage with some kind of, you know, safety car or full course yellow.
Yeah, I mean, at the start of my stint, Harry brought the car in a good position, so fortunately I just had to drive around, hopefully look after my tyres in the case of a safety car, which the team told me to do. And yeah, there was a safety car, and luckily we looked after the tyres, so we managed to get away towards the end.
Not that you'll care too much about what happened on the other side of the garage, but it didn't go too well for your teammates across the way with the championship. For you guys, what's the approach now for what you can achieve? Just maximum points at Donington?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know what the points will look like in the overall after this weekend, but I mean, us in the 90 car, we're still a team at the end of the day, and if we can do anything to help them, then we will. Yeah, it looked like a big incident for Mark, and saw it coming around. I was like, bloody hell, I hope he's okay, and it's good news that he is. So.
Top step of the podium, guys. Well done. Go and get your trophies.
Cheers. Thank you.
Top work by the Optimum team and by Luca Hopkinson and Harry George. It has, as we've been saying, been a tough season for them, but an excellent result for them, and well done to Harry George and Luca Hopkinson. So the McLaren comes out on top at the end of the penultimate round of the championship. The penultimate round of the British GT Championship began with Kevin Say on pole position and Giacomo Petrobelli alongside him, who went all the way around the outside at the first corner to take the race lead. Rob Collard also taking to the outside line to go second. But it wasn't long before the dramas began. Coming out of the second corner at Druids, there was contact in GT4. Ravi Ramyeed and Mark Warren just made the slightest of contacts. It was the McLaren of Mark Warren that was fired off the road, thus into the tyre barrier. It did a lot of damage to the left-hand side of the car. It was out of the race and we had a safety car. We also had a drive-through penalty for the leader. Giacomo Petrobelli's team had put a fan on front of the car to keep the temperatures down on the grid against the regulations, and the penalty was a drive-through, as off the road went Simon Orange, giving John Kearney a place at Surtees. Jack Mitchell's Ginetta was leading GT4 but went out in a blaze of glory. A big fire, and that was another race neutralisation as an inspired Petrobelli after his penalty was on the move. This was passing Mark Smith. Pit stop window opened and through into the pit lane came Rob Collard to give way to Hugo Cook, and it was Kean Jewiss who led after the stops, with the number 77 McLaren of Marvin Kirchhofer chasing. The gap came down, but Kirchhofer was never really able to have a proper go as Hugo Cook hung on to third place. Another neutralisation came when Sven Muller took a big bite at the back of the McLaren of Martin Plowman and turned him around. Damage done to the Porsche, that ended up in the gravel. Patrick Kuyler ended up with a puncture as well, and 78 Lamborghini would limp to the pit lane after an off at Sheen Curve. Muller to the gravel, safety car deployed. Resumption of the race was Kean Jewiss ahead of Marvin Kirchhofer, and that was how it would run to the end 10 minutes later. A third win of the year for Kean Jewiss and Charles Dawson, the 2Cs Motorsport drivers further ahead in the championship. So great result for Charles Dawson and Kean Jewiss here at Brands Hatch, and after delays earlier on in the day with an incident in the Ginetta Junior race, the timetable back on track. Cars back out on circuit for the next support race here. So the track getting busy for the field to attack Brands Hatch. It is going to be GB3 single-seaters that the fans have next. We're going to try and catch up with one or two more of our GT drivers, Andrew Howard and Tom Wood, Silver Am race winners, and provisionally I think that's going to give them the Silver Am Championship as well. Overall in GT3, this is how we look. It is 155.5 points for Charles Dawson and Kean Jewiss, just edging away a little bit more from Giacomo Petrobelli and Johnny Adam, who are tied on points with Morgan Tilbrook and Marvin Kirchhofer. Why are the Aston Martin drivers shown as being second and the McLaren third? Because the Aston drivers have had a win. So if there's a tie break on points, then it goes to wins, then it goes to seconds, then it goes to thirds. Kevin Say and Maxi Goetz are fourth ahead of Hugo Cook. He is ahead of Rob Collard because they've not done every race together. Rob, remember, joined in a bit late this year. You've got Alex Martin next ahead of Sandy Mitchell, and then Simon Orange and Marcus Clatton with Andrew Howard and Tom Wood to round out the top 10. One more race to go in British GT. First weekend of October, Donington the venue, and we'll see whether it is going to be the awesome Dawson Jewiss combination that comes out on top. They're certainly in the strong position, but as we've seen today, anything can happen in the British GT Championship. This is how we stand in GT4 with the advantage now, but it's a modest one of just effectively 3.5 points to Ravi Ramyeed and Charlie Robertson from Mark Warren and Jack Brown. Didn't score today. Harry George and Luca Hopkinson third after today's win. That's been a big help to them. It's Brandon Templeton and Chris Salkeld next ahead of John Curry and Phil Keane, with Jack Mitchell in sixth. Disappointing day for Jack, leading the class, and again reminding people how good he is. Underfunded driver Jack, put him in anything and he's quick, but then unfortunately the car catching fire out at Westfield. But Ravi Ramyeed and Charlie Robertson finding themselves ahead in the championship, and after Alton Park, where they didn't score in either race, indeed didn't take part in the second, to have them in the lead of the championship, well, it's perhaps a little bit of a surprise even. So for British GT, Donington Park is the final venue that we'll be going to for a 2-hour race that first weekend of October, and always a venue that delivers some fascinating racing. Whether or not any teams are supplemented by extra cars, even though they can't score points, remains to be seen, but we at least now know the way we're going into the championship decider. So a race full of drama here, some very good drives, some real hard luck stories. You've got to feel for Jack Mitchell, you've got to feel for Giacomo Petrobelli as well, after, in Giacomo's case, a mechanic put the blower on the front of the car in contravention to the regulations. You've got to feel a bit for Jack Mitchell as well, with that car igniting at Westfield. However, For Kean Jewiss and Charles Dawson, a good day in the office, and for Harry George and Luca Hopkinson, a first win in GT4 as well. So a popular result for the Optimum drivers and a championship lead increased for Charles Dawson and Kean Jewiss. It all comes down to Donington, the first weekend of October.